It's time for Type 40 Live, the live stream Doctor Who magazine show, super streaming on Rumble X, YouTube, and Facebook, covering all things Doctor Who from right the way back then, to the right here and the right now, all in front of a live chat full of fellow friends, fans, and companions, just like you. Okay, so who has said what? Now, can you really have too much of any good thing? They may argue with it. He certainly won't. Yeah, Mark Gatiss has been talking quite a lot, as it turns out, talking out of school. We're going to find out as we get into this on The Big Who. And what's all this racket about? Twisting and shouting. We'll try and make as much sense of it as we can. Maybe take the volume down a little bit. It's like 40 Live. Yes, okay, so back home to the console room there with a faithful friend waiting underneath the console, at the foot of the console. It can only mean one thing. It's Thursday and time for Type 40 Live with me, Dan Hadley, Birmingham's king of the geeks, and them too. We're going to bring people on in a moment. You're watching on Rumble X, YouTube, or Facebook, whichever one. Hello. Get stuck in the comments. We really need your interaction on this one. Work out how we all feel about all of that and everything else we throw into the mix for this edition of the show. Who'd have thought there'd be so much to talk about out of almost nothing? It was very quiet the last couple of weeks, wasn't it? But it does seem like things could be livening up a little bit as the summer continues. So share what's on your mind, and we'll bounce it all around for the next couple of hours and see where we end up. Okay. Right. Who's going to join me in the console room with this good boy? Let's have a look. Yeah, because it's all about dogs at the moment, isn't it? Super dogs, flying dogs. Canine couldn't fly in this incarnation, I don't think, but I think later ones sort of could, depending on where you're watching it. Where you're watching it, really. Which canine you grew up with, Luke?
Well, my dog's dead, so.
Good to see you too.
Yeah, here she is. This is a portrait done of a lady. She was very, very cute. But she's dead now. She died.
Oh.
Hooligans episode 2 was only made because of her, because I was sad. So that's a funny one. So I cheer myself up with the Daleks and Taran and K9. But yes, K9. No, I didn't have K9. Oh my god, Daleks and Taran Sidemen. But yes, K9. I think my first foray was School Reunion. Absolutely love School Reunion. I think it's a classic one to me. That's one of the staple ones. If I want to go back and just watch an episode of Doctor Who, always go to School Reunion. So that's Anthony Stewart Head and David Tennant facing off by a swimming pool is such a classic scene, I think. And I think it's been replicated as well, and loves gravitas as well. And fantastic. I skipped the Australian K9.
It's not bad at all when you get into it, when you get sort of past the initial sort of culture shock of it. It's sort of like it's an extension thereof. Because that canine could do all sorts of stuff, couldn't he?
Yeah. Unlike my dog, that's dead.
So let's move on. We are all sorry for the loss of Lady. Of course we are. At least she inspired something that has brought a lot of people a lot of pleasure. So it was all dedicated to her memory. Yeah, because obviously this is the Doctor's super dog, but super dogs are everywhere at the moment, aren't they? Very much in fashion, with the Superman movie in full effect in cinemas all over the world. And yeah, it's definitely arrived, and so have they. So I did get to thinking a little bit about the Doctor's very own canine companion. I don't think they've made as much of Canine as they probably should have and could have, come to think of it, in recent years. But maybe that'll change wherever Doctor Who ends up next.
Who knows? Who knows? And Superman's fantastic, by the way. I don't think I've had that much fun watching a movie in so long. Fantastic film. And Crypto is the best boy ever. He's the goodest of boys.
Well, he's the best. He's sort of the best bad boy, isn't he? I think that's why he's winning people over all over the world, really.
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I had so much fun watching it. So much fun.
And they claim that dog adoption from homeless dog shelters is sort of escalating just in the wake of this film.
Fantastic.
Are you a dog person at all, Gary Akers?
I I do love dogs. When I was very young, I had a cat. I've never actually owned a dog, but I love dogs. I love to watch dog videos on YouTube. And like Luke, I thought the Superman movie was fantastic. My cape is actually at the dry cleaners right now. Otherwise, I'd be wearing that today.
You've got you're nearly there. You've got Batman cap on. Nice.
Yeah,
choice.
I run around my apartment with my arms out, pretending I'm flying. So
I am the knight. I am the Dark Knight.
Yeah, no, I can't. I look forward to seeing it again. I absolutely will.
What about Canine? Gary? You must be a fan of Canine. Who isn't?
Well, of course, I'm a fan of the original voiced Canine. I wasn't a fan of the laryngeal Canine from season 17. But go to see Superman, if only for the fact that there is a character named Gary in the movie, which I think raises the quality of this movie about 10 points.
Up the Gary factor. That's what they've done, isn't it? They've upped the Gary factor.
Estimate the Gary factor, even in a James movie.
I think we should up the Charlotte factor whilst we're talking about bring her in. Hi, Charlotte.
Hello. I've got an alive dog, and I'll see if you can see a. Oh, can you see a picture?
Hang on a second. Let's get it.
It's not.
Oh, yeah.
She's a black Labrador. She's called Mia. And that's who you hear barking sometimes when people come to visit. And she's not very super. She's getting on, God love her, in her age. She spends most of the time either asleep or just sort of being a bit lazy.
So if she saw sort of Canine trundle in, she'd probably think, oh, my ride's arrived. I can get a lift wherever I need to go next.
It depends how asleep she is, because sometimes she's very good at noticing stuff, and then other days you can literally go right next to her and make a noise, and she slightly moves her head and looks at you. So she's in that part of her life. But yeah, I adore dogs. I've always been a dog person.
I love dogs as well, but there's so much of a commitment. I know that I wouldn't have the time to be the responsible dog owner that I would want to be. So I've got my cat, and that's that. But I do know of a responsible dog owner, someone who would never be without his little Charlie. Yeah, it's okay. That is the name of his dog, not the name of anything else. I am Matt Pratt.
Hello, good morning. Hi.
Good morning. Good morning, mate. You got your talking book voice on there, like you're going to read us a horror story.
Yeah, I'm, what's his name? Stephen, what's his face? Doing
King?
Harry Potter.
King?
Stephen
Fry.
Fry, yeah. Hello, everyone.
They're both insufferable. Hello, mate. How are you this morning?
Hi. Morning. Yeah, I'm all right. It's a little bit early and cold, but my brain will unfreeze at some point.
We're all rooting for you, mate. We're all rooting for you. Obviously, where is Charlie these days? Is he up yet, or do you go?
Yes, he just had a very expensive haircut, so I might bring him in later. But yeah,
I think we need to see.
Yeah, he's just it cost a lot. So, but the thing is, though, it's like, well, he doesn't shed. So it's not like we get hair all over the place, and I've had one of those dogs, and that's just
See, the doctor didn't have this problem with Canine, did he? Now and again, he'd have to pick up some stray nuts, and that was that. Well, nuts and bolts.
He could still get angry with that famous outtake of Tom. Be not best pleased with Canine.
Very
I
true.
still love.
Yeah, he throwing it around here and there, just like Bill Fraser did in Canine and Company. And in fact, I think he got to do it twice, didn't he? Didn't he do it in Megalos as well? I think, Bill Fraser was not a fan of Canine at all. I wonder how the final member of our panel this evening feels about Canine. Let's find out by asking David Milling. Hello, David.
Hello. Good evening,
Hello,
everybody.
David.
Welcome back. Hello, everyone. Hello, everybody in the chat. How do I feel about K9? I'm with Gary.
I'm with Gary.
I'm with Gary on that one. Season 17, load of shite. Rest of the time, not well, quite all right, really. If we're
Well,
talking
no, I
rhyming
didn't.
couplets.
I actually loved season 17. It was just the wrong Canine voice.
That's what I mean. Canine load of shine.
Okay.
Rest of the time he was all right. I don't have a dog because it's too much responsibility, like Dan's. But my wife did say that if I was a dog, I would be a big slobbering St. Bernard who would just follow everybody for food. So I'd like to say that I do like dogs, and I'm a dog person. It's just that I think the dog would end up probably looking after me, which is not how the dog would be taking me for walks. So that's
it all goes wrong. Could all go wrong, couldn't it?
Absolutely. I'm barely able to be a parent, really, with his responsibilities. And that's why I was slightly late tonight. I had to. Hey, how about this for a transposition? I had a daughter in distress, so I had to answer her SOS. There you go.
You've been practicing that on the way here.
No, I just thought of it, actually.
No matter how many times I tell Ian Levine people love that song, he won't believe me. Do you believe me now, Ian?
Yeah, there you go. I didn't like it at the time, but it grows on you.
Excellent
it's
stuff.
lovely to be back. Can I just say that at 48 and a half, I actually feel, and at a back surgery later, I actually feel that my body wouldn't be too knackered at that age to be a Doctor Who. I think I think Ncuti's got a lot of stuff coming to him, and then he should make the assessment when he's a wee bit older.
Ncuti Gatwa said several things over the last couple of years where you think to yourself, will he ever live that down? And this is just the latest one, I feel, David.
Yeah, it's just a load of bollocks, isn't it? Sorry, but it's just an absolute load of bollocks.
Well,
tell us the truth, mate.
Well, I think it's fitting that he his first big press thing, he made an absolute dog's dinner of it.
Yeah.
With the touching grass comment. And then on his exit, like his first big interview outside of the role, he's also made another massive dog's dinner and just looks like an idiot. So it's sort of symmetry, I suppose you could say.
Yes.
Where is Doctor Who going to be without this Muppet talking absolute bollocks? I don't know. We're just going to have to hope for the best and pick up maybe some of that slack here at Type 40 Live. Let us know.
One of these days we're gonna get like one of these days we're gonna get a breaking news alert that he sustained a ballet injury, and we'll be talking about that for days on end.
Gets his meat and two veg caught in one of those tights that they have to wear.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. It brings an unfortunate end to a pas de deux. But
go either way for the boy, couldn't it? Yeah, never mind. Never mind. Okay, I've got some good news for Ncuti Gatwa though. Against all odds. Now we talked about this a little while ago. It is fast approaching the Emmy Awards. So we looked at it a few weeks ago. They announced the shortlists and the long lists of various hopefuls across all the categories that you expect to see at global standard awards ceremonies. And Doctor Who was nowhere to be seen. This did surprise some people. Didn't necessarily surprise the dedicated audience, but they just weren't around, were they? But a great deal of shows were, so the Severance, the Pit, and all these big shows that really do feel relevant, and that a lot of people will recommend to you when they sort of drop you a message on WhatsApp or something like that, and you say, "Yeah, I'll put it on the list," and you forget about it. Those kind of shows. Well, it turns out that against the odds, our iconic little 62-year-old bit of old nonsense sci-fi fantasy show has earned its very first Emmy nomination ever as part of the 2025 awards. Coming after weeks of nothing but bad publicity, I'm expecting the BBC and Bad Wolf to do a lot of shouting about this. The Emmys are described as a sprawling celebration of prestige TV, fan favourite drama, sharp comedy, and eyebrow-raising surprises. We've had plenty of that on Doctor Who of late. Doctor Who hasn't been put up for best drama, for acting, or even the special effects work. this venerable geeky pop culture favorite has actually been nominated for outstanding choreography in a scripted program, competing against the likes of Bridgerton. So Russell T Davies, he's going to be thrilled with this. Have you seen this news, Charlotte? I know you like a song and a dance.
Yes, and I was just like, I can't think of a more fitting nomination for the current era. Just like, it's not for writing, it's like I said, it's not for acting, it's not for best drama, it's not for the effects, which I think actually is usually the thing that's the saving grace of the current episodes. It's for dancing. Like, could you make it any more like perfect? But even like I was thinking back to that episode, and it wasn't even that good of a dance. Like back in the day when like Glee, I remember I watched that every week. They would have way better dance routines, and it just felt like at the time it was trying too hard. But it's got what it's want. I think this is why they did it clearly, to get something like this.
I have to be honest, Luke, when I'm watching things like this, or even stuff like Strictly Come Dancing, you know, if I watch them with family at Christmas time or whatever, and people are going, oh, they didn't do quite so well there, they won't score so well in that, I never know what I'm looking at. So Charlotte says the dancing wasn't that good. I don't know, was it?
Well, there's always a twist in the end, so who knows?
So they insist on saying.
So they insist. I don't know. I was with Mr. Carley when this was announced, and I just laughed. I was like, cool. I was like, this is the most. How are they doing this for a series that was out like 2 years ago, by the way, or last year? I was like, this is
That's
a little
good
bit.
point, actually.
I was like, this is a little bit behind. Like, surely, I was like, this makes. So shooting. So this season it'll be nominated next year for something. I was like, this is a very, very bizarre one because I was like, this is. Yeah, time travel. I guess it's all out of order. It's all out of order. But hey, at least it's nominated for something the first time, and even if it is, and he's up against himself. It's the same guy, the Bridgerton guy. So he's not going to win either because he'll split the vote, and then someone else will win. So it's the same thing that happened with Deakins when he did like Schindler's List years and years ago. Split the vote, didn't win it because he was nominated twice. So yeah, mad. Cool though. Like fair play to him. At least that's something they can put on a press conference, on a PR statement.
Well, I've got to be honest, Matt. I found this all nauseating, and the idea that Doctor Who can only manage this nomination despite its attempts to step up. When Slow Horses, another British drama on Apple, has indeed brought in 5 credible nominations, including for direction and acting for the great Gary Oldman. And there's Doctor Who getting nominated for this. Oh, I almost think it would be better to have not been nominated at all. I mean, am I being a bit churlish there?
I just compare this to Sweet Charity, if you've ever seen that film. And there's a scene called the Rich Man's Frug. And that is dance and choreography. And you just YouTube it at some point. But you just look at stuff like that and you compare it to this crap that we currently get, and it's night and day. And you just think, God, it's really the bottom of the barrel. And I mean, the thing was like a year ago. So I thought that they'd be looking more at the last season than the first season.
Now that Luke's mentioned it,
obviously, you know, it is scraping the bottom of the barrel. Oh shit, we haven't got anything. Let's just put.
I mean, obviously, if old, given what he said the other day, if old Gatwa puts in some sort of insurance claim there, they're going to say, well, there you were, kind of going at it in that dance routine, and so he could have grounds there to take action if it's done him any lasting damage, because obviously he looks like wrecked. He looks physically wrecked, doesn't he, Matt?
Yeah, it's just nauseating, especially when he dances, and just I hate thinking about it, to be honest.
Are we being really miserable about this, David? I mean, an award's an award. They might not win it, but
they're not winning it.
Hey, my voice changed. I agree, Charlotte. Right, okay. Look, I'm always I always want to give credit where credit is due, so I can't be accused of being unfair or harsh. For the chap that I think it was a chap, wasn't it, that choreographed this? Yeah. Well done. Fantastic. Absolutely well done on being nominated for an Emmy. Full, take my hat off to you. However, and it is a big but, this would be like, for those Australian amongst us, having a sort of like list of Sir Donald Bradman's greatest accomplishments, and the one that's the top of the list is when he sat down and had a cup of tea next to the infamous Lord's tea urn.
I was going to say, is this a cricket reference? Because I thought I've got no idea what he's talking about.
It is like the 2005 Ashes series most memorable moment. It would be like the rain falling and the covers on. It is an absolute absurdity for a drama, science fiction program to not be nominated for effects, writing, actors, makeup, direction.
Yeah,
Thank you for the direction. Costume, music. Whatever that is. Soundtrack sort of thing. Writing, you name it. Lighting, sound, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But goddamn choreography. I mean, it is. For God's sake, it's not Strictly Come Dancing. If it were Strictly Come Dancing, fair enough. But choreography, come on, please. But fantastic for the person nominated. Brilliant, well done, absolutely brilliant. But for a science fiction drama program, that's the best you can
Everybody
do.
else is going to be scratching their heads, and in some respects, I think if it does win it, then it's more fodder for those who like to take the piss, like we do. I mean, previous seasons of Doctor Who have seen it nominated for everything from Saturn and Hugo Awards up to the NTAs in Britain, and it's even brought home plenty of BAFTAs. To think we're now at a place where this is really the best it can do, it's quite sobering. I'm sure this will be welcomed by some. Thing is, it's not going to really have any sway on regarding the predicament that the series is currently in, as regards its sort of streaming home, global profile, and prospects, even for the short-term future. Never mind the long-term. So I do feel that, well, this is more sort of, you might get somebody stood on a red carpet, but I suspect this is one of those awards that gets done sort of during the commercial break when the thing is screened on television. It says the 77th Emmy Awards will broadcast live on Sunday, the 14th of September. So there's a bit of a wait until they actually announce who the winners are going to be. It's on the CBS network in America and streaming live on Paramount Plus. But there is no UK broadcaster for the Emmys, Gary.
Can I just ask a question, please, Dan? Sorry, Gary, also, is this the first British science fiction show to receive an Emmy nomination like this since Red Dwarf won one in 1994 for The Gunman of the Apocalypse?
Perhaps. Given the fact there's so few British science fiction series, it's quite likely.
Not much to pick from.
But that was actually a sci-fi based.
Well, speaking of Red Dwarf, I actually thought, Tongue Tied should have gotten nominated for Best Choreography. That was a great dance.
Yeah.
That was a great dance number. First of all, I want to say that, I thought that the goblins were callously ignored. Their dancing was much better in the Christmas special. So I think they have a lot to protest with. I don't know who it would be with, but they need to protest. I will say that I do look forward to Ryland Clark being nominated next year for Best Supporting Actor. So I think we have that to look forward to.
No. Dougadu for Best Supporting
Dougadu,
Actor.
there you go.
Oh, that's next year.
I'll vote for that.
Things have got to get better, haven't they? Got to get better when we hit the live chat on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X. Let's go and see what they've got to say about all of it so far.
The walls of time are breaking down. You need to listen. The only way to save the universe. Watch Type 40.
Yeah, I think the goblins have been done dirty, Gary, I have to say.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show that prejudice comes in all shapes and sizes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We've got more people joining us, I'm happy to say, for another round of nonsense here at Type 40 Live, including Richard Brooks. Superman is super again, declares Richard in the live chat. Good to have you with us, matey. And he also joins in with the theme tune as well. I think a lot of people do every week. It's still the best theme tune in all of, never mind Doctor Who podcasting, it's the best theme tune in all of podcasting. I confidently am going to start claiming. Thank you, everybody, and thank you again to Lee for that. Crimpling Doubloons in with his ahoy shipmates. Happy to see you there, mate. And we've got the Zero Room and Lord Thoth here too. Hi, Lord Thoth. Good to see you, mate. Thanks for joining us. He's got a big weekend away coming up. So I hope it's fantastic. And best wishes to the happy couple as well. The Zero Room is still having problems with his name all these days later. Never mind. It'll make sense eventually. That's what I always tell myself, Charlotte. Garbage is in with a hail chat. And what else have we got here? Yeah, we've got various names sort of popping up. People doing tech support with one another as they're going along. That's the spirit. One in, all in. We haven't got time to wade through all of that. Hey, Tom is persevering here with the last few days of Cancer the Crab, and obviously you've been model making your own various creatures as well, haven't you? All in honor of that. So keep on having fun, Tom. Don't forget to send us some more pickies. We've got Rose is in. Rose is in too. Hello, good morning, afternoon, and evening to all species and life forms across the universe. That evening includes you, Luke.
I know.
I almost didn't recognise you. How did you get on, by the way, Tuesday? Because you'd been drinking quite heavily, I think, on Monday. You were still in recovery.
Still going. Still going.
Well then.
Hair with the double dog.
As I say, starts on Monday. So always starts on Monday.
Excellent work, sir. Woodhouse Wanted 2 says, evening all. And Rob Alexander's in as well. Hi all. Happy Thursday to the panel and everybody in the chat as well. Excellent. Richard's in too. Richard, with a bold claim, but the night is young.
I think Matt's fallen asleep. Oh, is he? No, is he woken up? Sorry.
Matt always needs a sort of gentle thawing out because it's very cold where he is right now. Dance.
I'm hibernating.
He's facing himself.
I think you got the right idea. I wish I could. Yeah. We've got Stephen O'Neill in cloudy but very dry Wigan. Excellent.
Oh. Is it still warm there?
I've never been to Wigan.
No.
I've never lived, obviously, evidently. And Richard reminds the original Canine only flew when the prop guy threw him in disgust.
So you can't cross. Have you seen the new Doctor Who logo bomber jacket?
Oh God, no.
No, but is it as naff as it sounds? Let's have a closer look at that.
Oh boy.
Oh my God. That's official.
There.
Jesus.
Is that official?
Yes, it is. Yeah, they're also
That's your driving
right.
license on the back as well.
VHS. Yes, it is my driving license.
200
They do the
pounds
tote
at
bag
the
as well, a
business.
VHS one.
What
They're
a
redoing
waste
the
of
Doctor Who shop.
imagination.
A little bit of. We break stuff live on Type 40, even though that came out 2 hours ago, but it's fine.
Hey, you know what? I just realized this Emmy thing could have been worse. Charlotte, the episode that got nominated could have been that the Bridgerton episode with the pigeons, with him dancing with Rogue. That could have been
romance.
That could have been the nominee.
I'm trying to block that out. I'll block the whole thing out, Gary. Hi there, says Cheryl, the Gallifrey Angel. Hi back, Cheryl. Good to see you. Hope you're well. Hope you're keeping well. And TARDIS Travels is here too. Rob claims that season 18 wasn't good to Canine. No, it didn't go well for him to finish, did it? He left with his dignity, I think you could say, but he got steaming as well, a bit like Luke.
Yeah.
He does. I was all right, actually. I only had about I'm not going to say many, but a couple.
You manage a lot better than I do, mate. Evening all, says Domgo with his brand
Hello,
new
Domgo.
shiny
Yeah, that looks cool.
Wompy icon. We like it. We like it.
That should be on a tote bag. That'd be good.
Yeah.
I got a really cool War of the Worlds tote bag.
I hate those design of the Cybermen.
Stompy Woppy.
It's been 19 years.
Give
We're
me
still not over
classic
it,
every
so
time.
I completely agree.
Is that
Yes,
the
Queen.
2006 remodel? Yeah.
Yes, Queen, says Dalek Lives Matter. I think that could be for you, Charlotte.
Could be for any for us.
Oh, no, I've now got a crown, David. I've officially got one now.
Oh, you've got a crown. Oh, right, okay.
Oh, you wait. You just wait.
Oh,
And,
no, don't pull that
Garbage-
out.
Garbage says that Charlotte is 100% correct. This sums up Doctor Who completely. What an embarrassing nomination. A sci-fi show up for a drama award. I mean, you know what I would
Dance
say. don't you,
award.
Doc?
Dance award.
No, did I? No, okay.
You said drama award. There's
Yeah.
no drama. The only drama is behind the scenes with Doctor Who at the moment.
Funny
Completely
but
agree.
true. Funny
right.
but true.
No doubt Russell T Davies will be ecstatic. Well, maybe not. I don't know. I think he's probably got a lot of thinking to do. I suspect he's still in the trenches.
I'm surprised he hasn't put something on his Instagram. How excited he is. That's what they
very
wanted.
quiet.
This is what
Yeah.
that you got to remember. This is exactly what they wanted. That was the whole
Yeah.
point of the episode.
You're right, Matt. Content.
Good point.
So,
He
funny
thought that
funny
he thought
story
that.
about Russell. Oh, sorry, Gary.
No, I was just going to say he thought that writing nomination was a lock. So I'm sure he's disappointed.
Yeah, it didn't get a nomination for writing. So.
But
You think he
Russell
could
T
be right, Luke?
Davies now goes to my local all the time.
Does he?
He's writing
Yeah, one of
the best, writing from your ass.
One of the boys texted me, was like, Russell's here, like, there's outside this week. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, cool. So I'm been in to see him. Yeah, apparently he visits my local now quite regularly in Manchester. So
Send him
that's
out, love,
nice.
won't you?
yeah, will do.
Yeah, with a
Can
beer in
you
the
let me
face.
know? Can you let me know if he has dry roasted peanuts or salted? Because that is a big question I've always wanted to know.
I thought he'd only be hanging out with his kind, to be honest. There you go.
I hope you mean of the packeted variety that you can buy behind the bar.
Of course I do.
Whoever
because
you are.
I prefer dry roasted. But a lot of
I
people
like dry
salted.
roasted.
I
I
like
like
because
dry
you
roasted.
often get a little bit of crumbage at the bottom, and it's very nice. But a lot of people have salted, which makes you drink more. So it benefits
yeah.
the pub if you have salted. So I have dry roasted because I'm a tightwad. So I don't want to have more than I can handle. So dry roasted peanuts.
If that isn't a tip for the top, I don't know what is. I don't think we can really follow that. Maybe Big T can. Big T's in the live chat. Greetings and salutations, one and all, from Tony Farrell's TARDIS. What a fabulous message. Good to see you, Tony. Tony's working on something special as well, and so is Chris from Black Glove
Hi, Chris.
Studio. There he is. He's happy to report all the studio sets for his production of the Nightmare Fair animation are complete. We're going to have a big catch-up soon, Chris. Good to see you, mate. Hope you're keeping well, mate.
He's very excited about it. It'd be really good when you guys see it.
He is very excited, clearly. And an Emmy is an American award that recognizes excellence in television programming. It's one of the 4 major American entertainment awards, reminds us of Jess. Yeah, so maybe we should take it a bit more seriously. Maybe we're being terrible, I don't know. No, I haven't ordered one of those jackets at Liven's Flame. Although, if somebody sends me the link and I've had a couple myself, yeah, it does
Let's
look. I
just
do
say,
Dalek
I
Lives
think-
Matter. It looks like something you'd find in the middle aisle at Lidl, Matt, the discount supermarket.
I think the Emmy will probably be shown off during the day Emmys. You know those, don't you, Gary? The daily,
Yeah.
the day
Yeah, the
Emmys that
daytime
they have.
Emmys for the
These
soap.
are not going to be on the night time. Going to be shown live. That's for sure. It's going to probably be a couple of weeks before
No,
the actual
it'll
main
be-
event.
They do that during the Oscars too. They get a voiceover at the end. Some awards were announced in a separate
Yes.
Yeah, and then
the
they
car-
show
oh,
the
the
highlights.
ceremony the night before, and that's it.
Well, we'll have
You
to
know,
wait
for
and
that
see.
jacket,
won't
I
we?
just want to say quickly for that jacket, Dan, you need to order one of those jackets for Simon, and he can wear it during his stage shows.
I think it's the kind of thing you buy for a friend if you want them to never speak to you again.
Is that jacket actually
What are you
real?
saying, Dan?
Yeah.
This is made for you.
It's
You're
not
a
a made-up
fan?
image. It is actually real.
No,
that
so
jacket.
the Doctor Who shop is getting revamped
hitting him now.
ahead of Comic-Con. So that's
Luke,
that's
would
one
you
of
wear
the
it?
images.
Luke, would you wear it?
I'm in a Tyson Fury t-shirt right now, which is quite garish. So I'm not the one to ask that question.
I'm
so
troubled.
yes, I would.
That's a
Yes, I
no.
would.
That's a no.
I'm seriously troubled by that jacket.
You could always, what if you could buy it if you don't like it? You can always donate it to the charity or decorate a local scarecrow with it. In another bit of shock news in the last 48 hours, BBC Studios have reaffirmed a strong commitment to Doctor Who's future and even its dedicated fan. That's us. That can't be right. I thought we'd better take a look at this story that broke recently because it seems rather out of character on recent form. The BBC published its annual report a few days ago. Nothing unusual in that. They do it every year, unsurprisingly. In recent years, though, the broader BBC has seemed to display very little interest, let alone faith, in Doctor Who. I think they've taken it for granted, certainly taken us for granted, and they only ever really speak about it when they're talking about their own sort of ambitions for how they want to go global in some way, or to remind us that they exist and that he used to make stuff that we like. Their disdain for us in the fan base seems to be on a similar level than most people would award sort of flat earthers, something like that. But here we are in the BBC annual report, getting a bit of a mention. So so they actually produced this for the various stakeholders. So it's not just the public; it's the UK Parliament as well, because obviously the BBC functions under a charter. And it's for the BBC's own governing bodies as well, because as a publicly funded organisation, they have this responsibility to be transparent and accountable to all of us. So the idea is that this annual report will provide insights into how they're meeting the charters and delivering value for money. Remember that? So it's a comprehensive document that outlines the BBC's entire performance, their financial standing as regards the license fee and the money that they've got to make new things, and any future plans. So in it, the BBC Studio Chief Executive Officer, that's Tom Fussell, he's spoken about various things, but he did stop to mention the partnership with Disney and the Doctor Who brand specifically. He's got one of those faces that you want to slap.
Cheery fella.
Yeah, bloody
like
hell.
a lot of them.
I thought that was Sajid Javid when you first put it up.
So here he is.
Nice.
You think
He didn't show up for the wrong job, did he? I'm just wondering.
Let that news broadcaster.
Yeah.
That was good. I love
whatever his
BBC.
name was. Yeah.
we've got
He's happy
several pieces here that this guy has said in the report. Firstly, because this is causing a bit of a fuss, he claims that the BBC is really committed to Doctor Who and is continuing to look at ways in which we can bring the show to fans. It's curious, isn't it? Well, it's a TV show. If it is a TV show, then you put it on the fucking telly, don't you? It's not rocket science. Fans love the Doctor Who brand. It's been that way since before I was in short trousers. Brand is one step away, Charlotte, from the word content, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the words they're avoiding in this that I think are quite telling again. I'm getting suspicious already.
Well, yeah, like you said, it's not hard. You bring it to the fans, you get somebody to make it, and then you put it on your television channels.
All we want.
It's like, I'm like you. As soon as I started to see these comments, I was like, it's like you don't know how you're going to make it in the future. That's the vibe I'm getting. And the fact that you said brand is that can mean just we're going to continue getting the Blu-ray sets, for example, or we're going to get maybe some animated stuff, possibly. Brand can mean a lot of things, and it can do a lot of heavy lifting without having to have your show on telly, possibly. That's what also I thought.
I think fans of Doctor Who, more than even any other long-standing intellectual property, have got an increasingly low tolerance for bullshit and buzzwords, and this thing is full of them. And this guy just looks like the same sort of gobshite that you see associated with these kind of positions. Obviously, I would imagine he is paid very, very well. Don't know, the guy has never heard him speak, but this just sounds like the same sort of pap that we always read. In all fairness, even though we are entitled to read the full annual report and it is available to download, it's not necessarily, again, aimed at us. We're not reading Doctor Who magazine or Doctor Who annual or anything like that. But just looking at this stuff, though, it's also bloody soulless. He goes on to say,
what brand are they talking about as far as Doctor Who? Are they talking about the classic brand, or are they talking about the new brand? Because I can guarantee that the classic is over.
He's talking about the entire brand. Remember that for the last 3 years, they've gone to great lengths. They've gone to great lengths to make sure everything comes under that banner of the Whoniverse, Doctor Who and the Whoniverse. He's talking about literally all of it. He goes on to say that the mouse has been a key partner of our shows, like Doctor Who, Bluey, Dancing with the Stars, and others, as well as a decade's worth of natural history. They are a crucial partner, and we share a lot of the same values. So I'm really proud of the way that relationship has worked. So again, these comments are very general.
Bridge building.
I think, Gary, very, very general, very, very corporate. It's probably to be expected from an annual report. I mean, but it all seems very cold. And I'm not, even though Doctor Who is getting name checked in there, along with these are big shows, Dancing with the Stars and Bluey, big shows with a certain amount of longevity behind them. There's no shame in being mentioned in the same breath of those two shows. But he's not. There's nothing. He's not singling out Doctor Who for any kind of special praise.
Yeah, I mean this is classic PR blather. You come off like you're saying something, real, but in actuality, you're not saying anything at all. It's basically just like unconnected statements that don't add up to anything. It says they're a crucial partner. We share a lot of the same values. Well, clearly, one of those values they don't share is making money, because clearly you've been a massive failure at, that as far as, Doctor Who's concerned. But I mean,
Gary, you've got
notice how Dan how he pivoted away.
I wondered, Gary, that because you have experience with this in your professional life, we get tired of reading stuff like this. But do stakeholders seriously still lap this up, do you think?
Yeah, when I worked at the Hollywood Reporter, which was a joyful job. I'm glad I worked there. I'm not dissing the job in any way.
Yeah.
But Hollywood Reporter is full of this kind of PR studio marketing spin all the time, which is like there's a crucial partner. It sounds these buzzwords like crucial and important to make it sound like, there's momentum, but we're just not seeing it. But it's just basically just like spinning around in place. There's nothing other to it other than that.
Does the term synergy appear in there as well? That's another one.
Notice, David, how quickly he pivoted away from Doctor Who to talk about Dancing with the Stars, Bluey. I mean, boy, your head spins with how quickly he pivoted away from Doctor Who.
I'm very aware that Dancing with the Stars or Strictly fans, Charlotte, they're not going to be sort of chewing their way through the 90-page BBC annual report in the way that rabid Doctor Who fans tend to do with this stuff, are they? So are we taking it a little too seriously? We should just let these things be?
What I think this honestly is, I think this is them attempting to sort of dampen the fires, to sort of get some of the talk, which has been going for weeks, ever since the series 2 wrapped up and we didn't get a confirmation for series 3, we didn't get any sort of solid statement from anybody, and everybody like Russell and actually involved with the show seemed to go, there's a pause, it might be on a break. It was all very non-committal. This feels like somebody's probably said at the BBC, we should probably say something just to sort of keep that online sort of fire, which is Doctor Who's cancelled, it's dead, it's not, like all of that sort of stuff that's been happening. This is, for me, very much a business PR guy saying, everything's fine, calm down. And it's just sort of using the fact that they have got a partnership with Disney beyond Doctor Who, so they can talk about that. They can talk about, and the thing is, they're not going to suddenly stop working with Disney for everything if Doctor Who goes away. They've still got those shows they name check. So I think this has been
reported on all over the geek press, for better or for worse, and a lot of commentators on various websites, Bleeding Cool and places like that, seem to be taking this as some sort of sign that the BBC and Disney are in some sort of mutually beneficial relationship, deeply in love and inseparable. And actually, what this signals to me is that this guy is going out of his way, because this is his job, to be fair, he's going out of his way to assert the fact to stakeholders and any partners such as Disney, look, it's almost irrelevant, the shows themselves. This is a long-standing relationship that has endured before and could potentially endure, whether partnerships on any of these productions cease or whether any of these shows aren't even in production anymore. What it says is that the relationship exists outside of all that because we work together. The idea being that we work together towards mutually beneficial goals for the future, rather than sort of look after Doctor Who fans. That's what I'm picking up from this. It's almost like rolling your stall out for the fact that the thing with Doctor Who is just not going to continue. I think you could look at this either way, and so I think it's hard to come away from it saying, that means this, when it could actually mean anything.
Well, I think that crucial partner thing, for me, and this is me reading a bit between the lines, I'll have to admit that, for me, that is saying, we need somebody else to make this show. The crucial partner bit is, we cannot make this by ourselves. That's what I'm getting.
Yeah, very good.
I think it's one of those sort of statements that have been made where it's a statement of nothing, as I like to call them. There's a load of words that's actually saying that they've put out, which actually says nothing at all. It adds nothing to the conversation. It's just basically saying something for the sake of saying something. And I wonder if the press office actually dusted off Peter Cregin's 1990 statement and just basically reworded it for the modern day, because Peter Cregeen never said that Doctor Who had been cancelled. Well, yes, we're very much, committed.
For those who don't know, Peter Cregeen was the head of BBC serials all the way back in 1990. And whilst when Doctor Who was, it actually hadn't been axed at that point, but the production had been closed down with the idea of shopping it around to independence. What the BBC didn't say was that they were in no hurry to commission it anytime soon, and Cregeen did everything he could to obfuscate that because, to be fair to him, that was his job.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those sort of things whereby, oh yes, we're committed to the brand. We are committed to because it's one of the most selling IPs. But for me, the BBC are in a bit of a state at the moment because I don't think they know what they actually want to put on. MasterChef is in trouble. They've been rather taken the mickey out by Jeremy Clarkson for showing repeats of his Top Gear when he was on that they sacked him from. And
I didn't know that.
It's almost a thing of, well, we've got these fantastic IPs, we've got these fantastic brands, but actually we don't know what to do with them, and we can't afford to make them by ourselves. So please come and help us. So it's almost like, I'm not saying prostituting. It's I will say it's almost sort of like soliciting for partners, just to say, hey, yeah, look, we work really well with Disney, as Charlotte said. So and Gary did. So come on, we're out here. Come do business with us, guys. Yeah. And we've got
there is more.
Oh,
there
sorry.
is more. There is more. Moving on. We have something from the Hollywood Reporter here. Ooh. So they had a conversation with the same gentleman, that CEO of BBC Studios, Mr. Tom Fussell was his name, wasn't it? Tom Fussell.
Mr. Fussell.
And so they spoke to him, not at great length, but they had a conversation with him under this article here, a chat with the BBC commercial CEO on Bluey, a news paywall. What a bunch of piss takers, YouTube and Doctor Who. I'm sure they put Doctor Who in there because it's probably very searchable. It's the most searchable name that they could possibly whack in there after Bluey. This was published on July the 15th, just a couple of days ago. And again, there he is. So he was able to sort of to speak a bit more candidly about Doctor Who. They asked him, Doctor Who is such a big brand, but has been struggling as of late. Any thoughts? And he again said, we're really committed to Doctor Who. We really want to carry on looking at ways for fans to interact with the brand. We're happy just watching it, pal.
Yeah.
We look after the brand, whether it's at Comic-Con, merchandising, or whether it's the distribution deal we've done. The BBC and Disney haven't made a decision yet. You liars. When they do, they'll announce it. There's no point me speculating on it, but Doctor Who is a much-loved brand by everyone in BBC Studios, and we love being part of that story. That's 3 brands in about 3 sentences.
Do you know what's not there once? Good stories, characters.
Yeah.
Well, simply TV, streaming,
just the show in general. Yeah. Like he's talking
marketability.
About he's talking about everything else but the actual televised TV show.
Yeah.
Because here we are in the Hollywood Reporter, and we see this guy can't possibly sort of slip into another mode of communication. The Hollywood Reporter is it's not aimed at shareholders, is it, Gary? It's a pretty broadly read populist magazine for people who are interested in the entertainment industry, is the impression I get. Or have I got that wrong?
Well, no, when I worked on it, it was a daily news publication. I mean, it was a magazine format, but we put it out every day, and it was very news oriented.
Driven, yeah.
Now I think it's more of a monthly featurey type of magazine, because they realized that in the day, since streaming came along and social media and everything, that they can't compete on a daily basis anymore. So it's more features like this. Evergreen.
Boss, you wouldn't expect the CEO of something as international as BBC Studios to speak candidly, Luke, but I would have thought that he kind of dropped the facade a little for such a simple question that a lot of people will be asking. And again, I feel that this is more of an indicator in what he isn't saying and the things that he isn't mentioning. What do you think?
So this is I've been biding my time, so I was just checking a couple of things. So this is a very loaded question for me, and it doesn't just apply to Doctor Who. Sorry, I'm going to go on a bit of a rant here, but it doesn't just apply to Doctor Who. It applies to more like British TV and filmmaking in general, and how TV is now perceived because of the streamers. Because obviously now every TV show to be marketable has got to be classed as like a high-end TV. You look at Andor now, that was like $500 million season 2 cost. But you look at like Slow Horses, Apple TV, the amount of money they're pumping into TVs and TV series now, they all got to look cinematic. Doctor Who's never been that way. Doctor Who used to be BEC2, which is the Film and TV Union in the UK. They have different bands per budget. The Doctor Who, up until Jodie's, used to be band 1, which is up to 1.5 million per episode. And all of a sudden, I think Jodie veered into band 2 a little bit, which is up to 3 million. And then because I think Russell said in an interview once, Piers Wenger, I think, was a producer at the time at the BBC. I think it was him. I'm not too sure. But he was like, it deserves to look like a Disney show. So then, obviously, now with the influx of everything coming in, I think Doctor Who is now a band 4, which is not Game of Thrones level, but it's over 7.5 million per episode.
Are these categories and definitions applied across the entire industry internationally, which, despite the monetary the different monetary markets in territories, that they would
wherever shoots in the UK. So like House of Dragon, Slow Horses, every TV show that comes into the UK that's shot internationally will fall into band 1 to band 4. In between, so you know where you are because you know what everyone's getting paid. But I think because of how Doctor Who used to be made, Doctor Who used to be, you could shoot 13, 14 episodes a year, and they were quick, cheaper to produce. You know, they're not shooting on high-end cinema glass, anamorphic lenses, copious amounts of post-production. You know, they were shooting on like Sigma's cine zoom lenses, which, you know, you don't have to change your lens, you don't have to do this. They're quite harsh lighting. I think because they're trying to change and do Doctor Who now to fit the style, because they want to compete with the streamers. Where he's saying Disney is such a vital partner, he's correct, because without it, they can't seem to compete. And Doctor Who is one of the biggest money spinners since Top Gear's gone. Doctor Who is one of the biggest money spinners the BBC has got now, apart from game shows. So they need it to look as best as they can to compete. So without it, I don't think they want to go back to...
I'm not arguing that's point that any relationship they cultivate, establish with anybody overseas, let alone in a big territory, based in a big territory like North America, it's going to be important. They're going to want to keep it alive, regardless of the ins and outs of any individual program. It would be my...
I don't think the BBC want to take it back to how it was, even though arguably Jodie's era looked a lot better than Shewey's era, and it was made for a fraction of the price. But I don't think the BBC see it that way now, and because they've got the model in place, like I can tell you stories about the funding, where the money's going to the BBC in Bad Wolf, Dan, and I have told you off air, so you know some of the stories, and you know yourself. But there's a lot of money being wasted, and I think the BBC are very, very trepidatious about going back to the old model, because it's not prime time TV. It's just a British drama now. It's that culty Doctor Who show. So I think they're kind of stuck in the middle where they don't know what to do. So without a stream partner, I don't think the BBC are going to make it, because they don't want it to go back.
But the problem is,
in all fairness, looking to the question as it was put, David, he was asked by Hollywood Reporter, it's such a big brand. I suppose you could say that if the question included the word brand in it, it would have generated that kind of almost automaton response from a CEO. What the Hollywood Reporter, I feel, is probably actually asking is, look, this show has been shit. Nobody's got a good word to say about it. That's what he means by struggling. Not you're not selling enough T-shirts. He means that the show has gone down the shitter. And this guy, being an executive, a CEO, he's just heard the word brand and gone into the spiel. What do you think?
He's just given the answer he wants to give, and actually not given the answer to the question he's been asked, which is a great qualification that a CEO has, and it's the politician's answer. I understand what Luke's saying, and I agree with what he's saying. However, I think the BBC are wrong, because you could have the most wonderful Alfa Romeo look, the sexiest Alfa Romeo looking car, but it's going to have shit electrics and it's going to break down on you. The fact of the matter is, that's just my experience with Alfa Romeos, by the way. Please don't sue. But the thing is, actually, you can have the sexiest looking car going, but if it's got a shit engine and uncomfortable seats and is really crap to drive in, you're not going to want to drive in. Okay. So the fact of the matter is, if you have a less sexy looking car, but actually it is a wonderful experience to drive, comfy, everything gets you there, then that's surely what you want. It doesn't matter how good something looks. No. It can look.
I agree.
It can look the mutt's nuts. But if what you're serving up, if the content is absolute shite, then that's going to drive people away. I think people have got, executives are too obsessed with aesthetics rather, than content. And actually, is it a good story? Is it, entertaining? Does it make sense? Is it well written? Actually, if it is, then you will have people watching it. Is it a good concept? Is it a load of bollocks with a bloody skeleton type Time Lord that has come from the nether regions or the underworld? Sorry, I forget which one it is. And
Underworld.
Sorry, the netherworld, underworld, and then gobbles up your character and burps, and then goes, "Oh well, all right, see you later then," and then it all goes a bit weird, and then you get Billy Piper appear saying, "Hello." That is not what people want. He should be saying, he should be saying, yeah, it hasn't been the greatest time, but we're committed to improving it.
Yeah.
Should anybody wish to read the annual report in full, it is freely available for anyone to download and comb through at your leisure. Particularly if you've got a license fee, if you own a valid license fee, you've got every right to do that. Also, it's a reminder, despite the fact that there are no further episodes, never mind a full series of Doctor Who being commissioned by the BBC, the annual report does claim Doctor Who is one of a number of returning series, including in their plans for a year of homegrown creativity. Make of that lot what you will. Some people are getting quite excited too about this relationship that Disney have established with ITV. I don't view these things as dependent on one another or exclusive in any way at all. All I think that is happening here is a big global business concern is establishing as many relationships as it possibly can. This relationship with ITV isn't new either, so it's got no relevance really to the question regarding Doctor Who in the past or in the future. But yeah, keep watching the landscape with this, because it is unnerving the amount of places that the Disney Plus logo is starting to turn up. You won't find it at our home feed at type40.podbean.com.
Not yet,
blessedly.
folks.
That's where you can get our Type 40 podcasts, or at Spotify, Audible, and all those places. Wherever you get your podcasts, you can get that in your ear as well. But this is Type 40 live on Rumble, X, YouTube, and Facebook, as always. A lot to think about there, and a lot to read if you feel so inclined. Okay, I think that before we get into the next item, the main story, it's time for a quick break, because you may be thinking to yourself that in this day and age that things are never ever going to get any better. We're never going to get the kind of nourishment and entertainment value. We're not going to get the feels that we used to get from Doctor Who, whether it's classic new or new Who. But you might want to think again after you take a look at this. See you back here in a couple of minutes.
I'm the Doctor. I'm always running. I'm always fighting. I never stop. I never stop.
Hello, welcome back to Type 40 Live. With the Big Who, we're covering the past, the present, and the future of all things Doctor Who as ever. And that was Doctor Who Meets the Scorpion, the very latest full-length trailer. It's on the way, folks, coming at some point in 2025. So exciting. One of these Daleks has blown its top. There we are. Right, let's see who we've got back. See, we've got back so far. I like the bloke looking from the back of the shot as well. What do you think he's got in the bag, Gary?
Sawn-off shotgun. It's a sawn-off shotgun. He's carrying it down the street. He's just off to do a job.
You can
It's
tell
like,
it's
yeah,
88,
whatever.
can't you? Because he's wearing those brogues that used to have the tassels on the front. I had a pair of those when I was a kid. I used to wear them on the school trip when you could wear your own clothes. I thought it was Jack the Biscuit. I really did. Yes, that's Doctor Who Meets the Scorpion. With Philip Roy there as the Doctor, and there'll be more news on that sooner rather than later. I think we're going to get Phil back on the show. If we can tear him away from the various edits and other things that he's doing, they're putting Doctor Who Meets the Scorpion together. So more news on that as soon as we can. I'm back here with the panel. We've got Luke Walters, who hasn't ordered that Doctor Who jacket yet, to the best of our knowledge, although he may confess later
Yes,
on
he
after another
has.
glass or two.
I really like
has.
it. I really like it. I just put in the Hooligans group chat now, and I think everyone is like
Yes.
doing the fry. I mean, go take my money. So
We know what you're
It
getting
might
for
pop
Christmas,
up.
little boy. We've got Gary Akers.
Oh,
I think the jacket was.
You're gonna send his
Oh,
knee,
there's
Luke.
Charlie. Hi, Charlie.
that's going to get clipped somewhere. Jesus.
Oh, Charlie.
There's Charlie.
I don't think the jacket would go with Gary's hat. Gary, too many logos.
No, I'll be refusing acceptance from the postman if he tries to leave that on my stoop.
David Milling, you could wear that over the cricket, couldn't you? You think?
Hey, mate. Yeah. If they did it as a cricket jumper, I'd wear it. That'd go down well at Lords. I tell you.
I
Might be
wonder if it would.
refused
If
entry.
it would. We haven't got a price point on it yet. Would it cost more or less than Charlie's recent?
I can tell you how much. I can tell you
Aw.
how much it is now. Give me 2 seconds.
Hot price.
can
Has
tell
it been
you,
reduced
it's £72.
What?
The price is there.
Jesus lordy. Blimey. Are they desperate or somehow? Who's
It's
going to
made
pay
out
that?
of leather. What's it
Made out of... That's an expensive thing to use to pick up your dog poo, I tell you.
Is it unisex? That's what Charlotte's wondering. Is it unisex? And how would it look?
I'm really not. I'm really.
How would it look? How would it look
Dare
with the
you to
crown
go down the
jewels?
street?
Told you, David.
Cool blimey. Cool blimey. I can see you with the crown and that jacket.
That looks
actually.
great.
Yeah.
Right, thank you everybody for sticking with us. A merciful Father, says Richard Brooks. I think he's somewhat shocked at the 70 quid for that. Dear, oh dear.
If you do buy one of those
More.
jackets, though, they'll throw in one of those "Honey, I'm Here for Fun" T-shirts for free.
I think I saw those were going for £2 recently. £2. Does anyone know?
Honey, I'm here for fun.
Does anyone know what number is Phil's Doctor? I don't think
Probably
anybody is-
Probably
I
7.
don't care. I don't want a number anymore. I'm sick of
Yeah.
numbers. It's
Yeah.
like because they've got so many now, and they've just every old granny next door is a doctor now. So it's like it's just it's just ridiculous.
What did
Rumor
you
has
call
it
Don't
he
want a
played
doctor.
the 7th
They never
Doctor in the
said
50th
anything on
anniversary.
screen.
You don't say, Luke.
Yeah. Funny, this is a really random fact. Did you know that Peter
What dog is a
Capaldi
doctor?
is the only Doctor from 2005 up until now not to regenerate to or from David Tennant?
Yes.
Oh, that's just sad.
It's mad, that, isn't it? When you think about it.
Of that.
That's
That-
really
that is-
weird.
That is depressing.
Yeah, there you go.
It is depressing. I think it leads into this next item quite nicely as well. I think when I say nicely, it's not the best of news. Particularly, I think if you're Russell T Davies, I think that he might find this if not disappointing. I suspect there was a phone call after the fact along the lines of, what the fuck? Because a key figure in the history of Doctor Who for over 30 years, as well as a successful performer, writer, producer in his own right, Mark Gatiss. He's made several fairly candid remarks and considered comments on the present state of Doctor Who. This was quite surprising. I wouldn't say it's necessarily out of character, but it's not something you expect in the current day. This is all whilst he was out promoting this brand new period detective series, a bookish that he's just launched on You and Alibi. And he's been speaking to magazines and a podcast all about that. And they've asked him various other things too about his career and his connections. This is important, of course, because despite never actually playing the Doctor himself or showrunning himself, Gatiss was closely involved.
He's tried
with New Doctor Who from 2004, from when it was commissioned. He was brought into the writers' room, wasn't he? One of the very first people they spoke to work on that comeback season, and he was there from 2005 right the way through till 2017. And in all that time, he's spoken here and there. He's been part of several documentaries, sort of talking head style. So he's not been quiet. He's not somebody we're not used to hearing from. But I don't think he's ever sort of stepped out of line or said anything that goes that veers from any kind of party lines. Everything that he said in association with the brand has been very supportive, as you would expect, but also just really, really nice and totally upbeat all the time, and everything in the garden is rosy, which we all sort of expect. I mean, we know that that's not the case at the moment. Everything in the garden is definitely not rosy, and even the situation between Bad Wolf, BBC Studios, and Disney Plus isn't, despite what Tim Fussell is claiming there. Mark Gatiss, he spoke about this just last week. They asked him at Deadline here what was going on with Doctor Who. So a similar question than that the Hollywood Reporter put to Tim Fussell, they put to Mark Gatiss. And he said, I don't think anyone knows what is going on with Doctor Who at the moment. All I know is it's all about the Disney deal. And as I said the other day, you know, if the Disney deal is all tickety-boo, everything's fine, then somebody would know about it. What is there not to know? So that was surprising that the first person to actually speak on any of this was Mark Gatiss. But I sort of thought that would be that. It seems, though, that he's getting looser-lipped as time goes on. I remember the first time I saw Mark Gatiss's name in connection with Doctor Who. I think it was when he had his very first book published on the Virgin New Adventures range. And I think he'd written bits and pieces for Doctor Who magazine. Obviously a huge, huge fan. Now, obviously to the broader fan base, he's more known as being the writer of 9 episodes of Doctor Who, and he's starred in several of them too, 3 times on screen, and a further time where we could just hear him there. So this is somebody who is very closely associated with this brand, even if he hasn't been part of it now for 8 years, Matt. I mean, Mark Gatiss, obviously one of the League of Gentlemen. He's done lots of other things, but here he is, the Doctor Who guy. This is somebody that they ask, is he might know because he's on the inside.
Yeah, well, he's part of the clique, isn't he? He's just he's one of those people that him and Stephen Fry, I just groan at everything that they're in. As soon as they show up, I'm like, oh, what? Who did he know on the production to get in the actual show? You know, it's the same with. I mean, he tries to insert himself into every show that he either produces or that he has a friend of a friend who works on it. You know, and
he's very well connected, isn't he?
Yeah, a little bit too connected. And so, yeah, I just find the guy irritating. As soon as he showed up in Game of Thrones, I was like, oh, God, no.
Oh, did he?
Yes, he was the Iron Bank. And
he's in Fantastic Four.
He is.
Yeah,
like,
well, that's it
show
too.
host.
And he was in
Was it
the
made
new
in England?
He was in the new Mission Impossible too.
Was he really?
Oh yeah.
The thing is, he's produced and he's produced and co-wrote Dracula. He showed up as Van Helsing. He did the Adventure in Space and Time, which you haven't actually got there, but he decided he was going to play Pertwee, and then thankfully it got cut. And it's just everything he touches is just like it just turns to poop as far as I'm concerned, and I'm not keen on the bastard. So
Well, I'll say this: the characters that he has played in Doctor Who have been quite different. I find Stephen Fry absolutely insufferable now. I have to confess. But Mark Gatiss, I've never really had a strong opinion about him one way or the other. I know what you mean. He doesn't seem very backward in coming forward. But as I say, none of these performances have ever really turned me off, and I have enjoyed the bulk of the episodes that he's written.
Yeah,
also,
Robert of Sherwood is an absolute classic.
That was bad.
I enjoyed it.
I've
I
enjoyed.
really
As I
enjoyed
say, I'm not claiming any of them are classics, but what I'm saying is I've enjoyed them all. I've never felt that he shouldn't be writing for the show. Is I think what I'm saying.
Yeah, agree.
He's
It's never
ubiquitous.
felt like he doesn't belong.
He's
Yeah.
very ubiquitous. With respect to the
Definitely not androgynous.
No, between 2005 and 2017, he was all over the shop and just everywhere at the same time, which is the definition of the word. But I'm quite neutral. I feel neutral to Mark Gatiss. I have no feelings one way or the other, really. As you say, I've not found any of his episodes offensive. Probably Robert of Sherwood was the most objectionable of the ones that he did, but it was still a good romp. I thought he was wonderful in Twice Upon a Time, and he added a really, really deep and warm character.
The thing is, David, if I was offered the opportunities that Mark Gatiss has had, particularly on the show, I think would I have turned them down? I can't.
Yeah,
act.
of course. I wouldn't have done.
Yeah,
I don't think any sane
overkill
person.
as well.
Yeah, that's
Overkill as well, and he
I
does
know
it
what you
in
mean.
every
I know what you're saying.
production
When-
he's involved in.
I mean, it's not like he was in every. It's not like he was in every season, but I do know what you mean. I think when you see the same names turn up here and turn up there, and yeah, you think, well, isn't it? And then in the same breath, there's complaints about the series needing new blood and
Yeah,
not
it's a bit
feeling fresh
Dustin
anymore.
Boys.
I think
Lots of people, lots of people, Charlotte, felt that Mark Gatiss perhaps should have inherited the showrunner's role from Stephen Moffat. I was never particularly interested in that because I do think there's a reason why those two guys worked together so extensively across Doctor Who and Sherlock for all that time. I felt that he would probably go in a similar direction. But I do like the fact that so many of his Doctor Who episodes are quite different. And as I say, I personally I've enjoyed far more of them than I haven't. He's somebody I've always felt wanted to entertain us, and I've never heard him be dismissive of Doctor Who fans.
Oh,
And
no,
I give even if somebody isn't necessarily my cup of tea, even if I wouldn't go and see them do their stand-up or their new film or watch everything they're in, if somebody is sort of predisposed to be pretty communal with us, then I've got no reason to be antagonistic towards them.
Oh yeah, he's never in anything he's been like a showrunner in. Like with Sherlock, he was the same. He was very in the press and with the cordial, and he never really went out and attacked the fans. But I think honestly, for me, Sherlock was sort of the tester for if he was to ever be a showrunner, what would it be like? And I think Sherlock had that issue of.
Yeah.
It started off brilliantly. It started off strongly. They really seemed to adapt those, like it felt like a proper. This is Sherlock and Watson in the modern age sort of thing done well. But by the end of Sherlock, and I adore the first couple of series, but the ending, even I was like, this needs to be off the air. Like you clearly run out of ideas. You're running this into the ground, and you're just getting more and more ridiculous. With each premise. So I think Gatiss has got his strengths, definitely. I think when he's more grounded, when he's more sort of darker and horror, I think that's his playhouse. That's where he shows his strengths. But when he gets too fantastical and too sort of airy-fairy and I can do what I want, it becomes, yeah, you've lost me, mate. You've completely lost me.
It's like whatever production he does.
I have seen him play parts that he is completely unsuitable for. He played Larry Grayson, for example, in Russell T Davies' Nolly, about the life of Noel Gordon. He was pretty awful in that. He was nothing like Larry Grayson.
It just seems to be whatever production that he is involved in. He's like, oh, what part can I play? You know, and it's just it's one of those ones that it's like, oh, here we go. You know, we're sorry, Mark, but you know, we're thinking of someone else for this role. Oh, but I was hoping that I could be in for a few minutes or something. You know, it's like he just really, really irritates me. There is a name for it. It's like not narcissism. There's actually something when someone actually puts themselves in a production.
You mean cronyism?
Yeah, and that's what he is.
Well, he is one of the Fitzroy Tavern fraternity of writers who have looked after one another very nicely. I have enjoyed most of the things I've seen Mark Gatiss involved with, and over the last 20, 30 years, I wouldn't say his name is any kind of mark of quality, but he's never been enough to put me off, shall we say. His documentaries, for example, about horror films are, in my view, second to none. This is a guy who knows his subjects and speaks with not only great authority, but in a very entertaining way as well. I think the reason why I'm a bit more predisposed to think favorably of him is I do feel that he's never, kind of like Moffat, really, he's never forgotten what it really is like to be a fan. I do think that he's continually, the impression I get is that he's continually pinching himself. I don't think there's any kind of, personally, I don't think there's any smugness about him at all. But I understand that that's going to be different for different people.
I get the idea. I think he thinks he's Alfred Hitchcock.
Hitchcock is in every single one of his films. So his cameo role, I will admit, not playing Michael.
Yeah, I remember when Dracula first came out, and everybody was loving that show. The weird thing was, everybody was loving that show, and then as soon as he showed up at the end as Van Helsing, everybody's like, "Oh bloody hell, this is shit."
He didn't play Van Helsing in Dracula. He played the nun. The female nun was Van Helsing. He played a version.
Wait,
of
he played a female nun?
No. He played the Renfield.
That's
when they did the massive time jump.
I didn't see that one.
Hey, it's the modern world. Why not?
Yes, so this week he's been a very, very busy boy. First of all, Mark Gatiss has been speaking to Prospect magazine again to tie into the launch of Bookish. And they asked him outright, again, another straight question, straight shooters at Prospect. Doctor Who is currently surprisingly doctorless. You've worked on the series in the past. Where would you like to see it go in future? Gatiss replied, it's been back for 20 years, which is an awfully long time, almost as long as its original run. That's pretty spectacular. So maybe it's time for another rest. I really don't know. I only know that I still love the show with all my heart.
Ooh. I love the fact at the top it says. I love the fact that at the top it says assisted dying.
Oh God!
Again, for somebody this close to the production, who's worked so extensively over a long period of time with Russell T Davies as well as Stephen Moffat, to suggest, because Russell T Davies would have you believe that the series is in rude health and that it deserves this recommission, a fast recommission, and he should be working on it from now until the end of time. But Gatiss, I think pretty clearly, even though this isn't an exhaustive answer, he's very clear about what he's saying. And I think even though he says, so maybe it's time, I think what he's really saying is it's clearly time
Yeah.
that the rest
Yeah.
wouldn't do it any worse. That it deserves a good rest. Maybe. I mean, I was shocked to see this.
Yeah.
I really was. I mean, I did feel. I'm not sure how I feel about Doctor Who taking a rest myself, but it's undoubtedly true that a great many of us are suffering a bit from the fatigue of the best part of a decade. That the brand is straining and irrelevant and creatively dead. So how can a rest not be prudent at best? And yet Mark Gatiss is the only one who's saying it.
Well, I find it interesting it's the word he's used there. Because I find with people like Gatiss and Russell and Moffat, you have to look at the words they use. Because there's usually a lot of guff around them, so you focusing on the word. When Russell was talking about this weeks ago, he said pause. And for me, pause is not as much of a dramatic term, and you can pause something and quickly get it going again.
Yeah.
Rest, to me, says years. You're off air. You're not doing a TV show for a little while.
Well, Charlotte, you go for a rest when you get tired, don't you?
Yeah.
You're spent.
But
Yeah,
for
like
me,
Ncuti.
rest is more of a definite thing, whereas a pause isn't. So for me, the fact that he's used that word, I think he knows exactly what he's doing, and he's sort of saying it's had a good innings, to use a cricket term for David. It's had a good run. Let's just have it to sort of, like you said, we need to feel like we miss it. We need to feel like it's sort of special again, and it's not just, oh, Doctor Who's back. I think honestly that's a lot of what the fandom is feeling a little bit, even if they don't admit it to themselves.
Well,
he's mentioned it. It's mentioned it in the text. Sorry, Matt, but he has mentioned it in the text and referred to it. But I really do believe he is speaking from the heart, and I really do believe that he is speaking as a fan, because and I totally agree with what Charlotte has said, that it's those infamous 6 words. Don't you think it looks tired, or however many words that was? Sorry, I'm not very good tonight, but he is really he's speaking. He's actually saying what a lot of people are thinking, and I think that despite Matt's dislike for him, I think this is probably the most sensible thing that Mark Gatiss has said for a very long time.
To be fair, I don't think it has to do with a break. I mean, for me, I was out of it for 4 or 5 years, and I was happy to do so. During the Whittaker era, I was like, no, I can come back when they see sense. And so when going back, this is just to go on to what Charlotte was saying about having a break and everything.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, I had my break and I went back into it, and it was worse than before. And I was, what is the point? And so it has to be revitalized, and not revitalized with shit. And this is the problem. It just continuously has gotten, you can't deny it has gotten worse than what was before.
Yeah.
Whereas,
I preferred the Gatwa stuff to the Whittaker stuff, but undoubtedly the feeling of the series sort of still trudging around it is undeniably true.
Some shit doesn't come out as slop. Some does come out solid. So, you just have to...
Yeah, I love that.
You just have to, you have to see it from certain perspectives. Because I was more than happy to have my own hiatus. And when I came back, it's like with the classic era, it was boom, 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 boom. It always changed, and there was always that familiarity with it.
Yeah.
There's no familiarity.
There was no doubt. There was no doubt about the show you're actually watching. I mean, I like this. Obviously, this is just flat words again on a screen. In this case, the sincerity there, I think, is evident. I think the fact that he's concise, very clear, affectionate. This isn't any kind of rant. but he's very clear about what he means. And I do wonder, the contrast between this and what the CEO of BBC Studios was saying is really stark. Gatiss isn't high-powered as such, but he is respected. He can get shows commissioned, albeit to Alibi, but Alibi obviously is a show on the UTV network, which is owned by the BBC. So this is a guy who still has a certain degree of clout. It's part of the establishment. Yeah, and here he is saying something which I think a great many people are going to be able to relate to, even if when you think, oh my God, he's right, you might get a bit of a shiver and think, as Tony Farrell does, Tony's in the live chat calculating if it takes a break for X amount of years, how old will I be if it comes back and things like that. Obviously, it's natural that we think on those terms for ourselves, but obviously it's a broadly watched show that should have a broad international appeal by now, and it simply isn't happening. He does speak at far greater length on the Radio Times Writers' Room podcast, a much more far-ranging conversation. Gatiss is able to talk in more detail, and obviously on that we can hear him speak, which helps a lot. So here he is.
But I remember at the press launch 20 years ago in Newport, standing at the console of the new TARDIS, and just being sort of overwhelmed with the fact it was happening. But somehow also within you, you're thinking, somehow you also imagine you're going to be inside the Curse of Peladon. You're like your version from 20 years before that. Yeah. So what I quickly became aware of was that it was a job. It was my favorite show, but you had to treat it as a job because all that stuff is the icing on the cake. But the actual process of trying to make it a modern show for a new audience is not about nostalgia. And I think that's the great difference. You have to get right. Well, why is this going to work now? It doesn't really matter what worked for John Pertwee and Tom Baker. It's about now. So if we're trying to get an audience now, this show is the same but different. So to me, it was always a combination of those things.
The same,
sorry
but
for my
different.
That was
Gary.
her in the background.
I watched the entire. It's worth watching. I like a 25-minute thing. It's not all about Doctor Who, but I was watching it this morning. Parts of it I was parsing out like the Zapruder film, trying to figure out kind of what he was saying. But I mean, a lot of his comments that he made on the radio show there, or the writers' room show, were kind of like the Prospect article that Dan's been showing us, is that there's a couple times he lets it slip, and there is no doubt what he thinks about the quality of the current show, but he has to surround it with a lot of waffle to kind of, keep him, to buffer himself from a lot of the blowback. But there's a couple of times during this writer's room stuff where it was clear, at least to me, that he thinks, the show is nowhere near as good as it used to be and all of that. But really quickly, I will say about his comments about nostalgia is I agree with him that the show, any show, especially this one, can't drive forward if it's anchored to the past, not if it wants to grab and retain a new audience. And you can respect the past because that's what canon is all about.
Well, Matt's just said practically the same thing during the classic show. If things change, but we knew the show's identity was very clear. So Mark, strange enough, because Matt doesn't like him, Mark was actually kind of saying a version of what Matt was pointing to, I think, about the original show.
I mean, you can respect the past, but your priority, if you're trying to push it forward, kind of like Hinchcliffe did, is your priority can't be to dwell on it and try to recreate it, Russell.
Absolutely.
And he says nostalgia is the enemy. And I think that in the sense that it's very tempting to want to revisit and wallow in the past, especially if we loved it. That can be really overwhelming. You have to be careful about giving into that, though, especially if you have no other fresh ideas, like you know who. So I don't think that he talks about weaponizing nostalgia, and I don't think that's where I disagree with him, because if he's talking about nostalgia, weaponizing nostalgia as the basis for criticizing the current show, no. The criticisms of the current show is about the quality being absolute crap by any measure. And so he talks about
Gary, we've been in a. I know Gatiss doesn't mention this anywhere near close, but we've also been in a really strange situation the last couple of years, whereby the guy running the show, Russell T Davies, hasn't been caught up in a bubble of nostalgia for the stuff that worked, or even necessarily the stuff that was on screen. He seems to be caught up in wave after wave after wave of nostalgia for a time in his own career where he could do no wrong, where he was at the height of his powers, and in almost trying to sort of recapture that and bring about that again, for lightning to strike twice.
Well, I agree with what you just said, but even with that additional interpretation, that's still an indictment on Russell T Davies, who compounded his inability to bring anything fresh to the show with over-relying on either his own stuff or some of Moffat's ideas or anything. I mean, I don't think we have to worry about anybody being nostalgic for, the Maestro or the Doggy Sutek or Mrs. Flood or Rogue. We're not going to have to deal with nostalgia for that.
As a recent sort of story that they've had in the cinema, you had a movie called Megan, which was a horror movie.
Is that the little doll?
Yes. It was a killer. Doll. It was a killer doll. Anyway, it made a bucket load of money on a small budget, a reasonably small budget. And with the sequel, they decided to switch genres completely. So rather than give people what they wanted, which was another horror, Megan's back, it became a superhero movie virtually, where she became a good girl and she was out for the next person, the next robot that was evil. It didn't
like
work.
Terminator 2.
Oh, I was just about to say the same thing, David. Yeah.
But the thing is, though, that didn't swap genres, whereas this did. This became a superhero film rather than a horror film. So it was less horror and more superhero, rather than just giving people more robots, But when you have something like Doctor Who, which is a classic science fiction show, and it's been like that even with the newer era, and it's gone straight into gay porn virtually, everybody's going to switch off. Everybody's not interested. Everybody's going to lose. It's like, that's not what I've been watching. And unfortunately...
Megan, James Wan, who produced Megan 2.0, he came out and apologized and said, "Yeah, we went the wrong way with this. We completely got it wrong."
That. Wow.
Yes,
so sorry.
But the point is, when you have someone also with a huge hubris who thinks that he can do no wrong, and everybody could see this failure coming, and it has been an absolute major failure. You're right, Dan. He is trying to make things look better by, trying to surround himself.
If it was about nostalgia for the show, for the history of the show, then we wouldn't have just had a turd with a face as Omega. We wouldn't have had a giant dog.
And he's trying to paint it, you see, like that. He's trying to paint it like that, this is still Doctor Who.
But there is a belief about Doctor Who fans, about the Doctor Who audience, the casual audience too, that the reason why we continue watching this show and invest in it, whether it's the actual show or the broader brand and everything in or out of that, however we interact with Doctor Who, there's this belief that we're only there really to see old faces again and to get retreads of the same thing. And I think that there's a certain security that comes with the Doctor Who universe. You think, well, okay, this is where the Daleks are. They could turn up at any moment. There's that excitement that something could hit that scar tissue from when you were a kid. But I think for the most part, I think that a lot of fans actually feel the same way that Mark does. That it doesn't really matter what might have worked in the past because times do change. I agree with everything he's just said in there, that making a modern show for a new audience is not about nostalgia. And I think that when we hear statements like that, this is why when we can actually hear Mark Gatiss speak there, because that's so casual, so relaxed, so conversational. He's not speaking to shareholders. He's not on a stage somewhere. It's clearly not a speech of any kind. He's I'm sure it was edited to some degree, but he's there speaking in a very, very relaxed way. And so when he talks about new audiences, he doesn't mean swapping us or old farts out for a bunch of people with pronouns in their bio and all that kind. What he means is simply bringing more people to the show. That's
you look at
the old sense.
Sorry, Charlotte. I'll get to you in a minute. Actually, I'm going to talk about you now.
Lovely.
You look at you look at Charlotte. You know, whereas her father grew up with Doctor Who, so even the name Doctor Who, you know what it's going to be about. So that's the reason why when he turned around and he said to Charlotte, you know, I think you might like this show. And it hadn't even screened. This was when So to turn around and totally change tactics that people think it's name only Doctor Who. Yeah. It's currently in name only. And so, you know, and so I just feel that, you know, they've lost the plot. They've really lost the plot now, and despite the fact that there have been sort of soft innovations with the content that's been put out in the last 2 or 3 years. It still has largely revolved around things from the past and errors of judgment, things that probably looked okay on paper, or things that were thrown together like Tales from the TARDIS. Think what could possibly go wrong, and they were fine for what they were. But with the benefit of hindsight, you think, well, all that energy, all that talent focused on that. Why you think, oh, he put that together because he hadn't got enough for the anniversary? Well, let's take a few steps back from that. Don't you think he should have had more in the first place? I mean, let's just before we move on, does anybody disagree with what Mark Gatiss has said there?
No, not at all. And I think Doctor Who does have a massive nostalgia problem. If you look at it, it's only since the revival, I think only two series finales have had new villains, and that was series 6 with the Silence and series 11 with Tim Shaw. Season 13 of Flux had Swarm and Azure, but you did have Daleks and Torrens and Cybermen in there. So realistically, only two full series, 2 seasons out of 14, 15, however many there's been in 20 years has had a new villain. So I think Doctor Who does have a massive nostalgia problem.
Gatiss does call out in the interview, which is one of the reasons I found the video interview so interesting. He actually does call out and talk about the Hinchcliffe era, where he says that with the exception of, at the beginning, the Daleks and Cybermen, which were legacy story commissions from Barry Letts, that if you look at pretty much the rest of Hinchcliffe's era, there were no repeating or old villains. And he called that out in the context of this is what kind of needs to happen. And he's absolutely right.
Well, here's the thing that I can take from that 2005 when I first watched this show. It's like, I didn't know about this history. I didn't have a clue what a Dalek was. I didn't know what a Time Lord was. I didn't know what Gallifrey meant. Like, I came on completely, like, cold and blind to this show. Like, when my dad said that, he didn't then go, right, here's this episode, here's this. He just said, give it a go. He didn't tell me anything. And I think, in hindsight, what a brilliant way to get me introduced, because I didn't feel like I had to do catch-up or I had to do homework or I had to sort of go back and watch the old stuff. Because let's go back to that series in 2005, because I think he's on purpose going back to that time in that clip you've shown. Dalek, one episode really that had a returning villain as the main centerpiece. Every other episode had a new villain, new aliens, new characters, new worlds, new setting, and every one of them had time and they could breathe, and you sort of got invested in these new creations because they didn't have to go, well, this is linked to this and this is linked to this character. It was just, no, here's a massive face, here's tree people. Like, you could just go crazy. And
Ironically, Sean, I don't think it's just the things that move, the most obvious things as well. Even if it's things like the format as well. Looking back to the 80s, when John Nathan Turner was looking at the fact that the ratings were falling when Tom Baker was in his last couple of seasons. Again, what can we do to get an audience now? It's 1980, not 1976. People aren't watching in that slot that they used to. The show is the same but different. So they moved it around. And the viewing figures went up. It doesn't really matter what had worked before. They realised people who were brave and were, if not firebrands, then certainly had a vision and were willing to put their careers on the line, made those steps to take it further forward. Babette Bombshell in the live chat says, bringing back Tennant, Russell T Davies, by generation, and memory TARDIS were mandates from Disney. They were purely about marketing. Babette Bombshell, I'm surprised to see you back here after the last time. That's all bollocks. Absolute bollocks. It's been well documented how and why Tennant and Catherine Tate came back, how that all connected, A to B to C to D, nothing to do with Disney whatsoever. I know you're a big Disney person. You come out with all sorts of stuff about Disney from the past, which is also complete bollocks. So with respect, you're absolutely wrong.
I think as well, and this is what Russell's suffering from, he's suffocating his own writing at the moment. Because instead of going, right, I can do whatever I want, I can create whatever I want, he's gone, no, but I have to use this character, I have to use this villain, I have to have Unit, I have to have Kate to tell us about her dad for the 50th time. It's like, whereas one of my favourite episodes is Boomtown.
Right, I want to go back. I want to go back.
Town.
I don't want to spend too much time talking about Russell T Davies because we've done quite a lot of that already. So I've got another clip. I've got another clip here of Mark Gatiss talking further. So here he is again. Oh, hang on. Here he is again.
It's a strange thing because I've revived so many things, but I think nostalgia is a great enemy. And we have to all be careful of it. It's part of the reason we're in the mess we are, that I think weaponized nostalgia. Nothing's as good as it used to be. And yet people can't see that people have always thought that, even when it used to be better. It's a dangerous thing. Weirdly, the first thing I did for Doctor Who, which was a novel of Virgin Books in the interregnum, the dark times, the times of chaos. And that's what it's about. It's about nostalgia as an alien entity. It feeds off an alien entity that feeds off memory. Because, and it's funny, I keep coming back to that because as much as I love old stuff, you're trying. I think what the job of the show constantly is to regenerate itself. You know, and sometimes when I meet, grumpy old Doctor Who fans, and that you think you've just fallen into the same space-time trap, that it's not as good as it used to be because it's not for you anymore. If you still like it, that's great. It's great, but it's not for you.
Very interesting.
I wouldn't say that he is insulting older fans there. I think he counts himself sort of among us, really. He's a little harsher there, but again, when he talks about nostalgia being a great enemy, as somebody who enjoys nostalgia, yet again, I was listening to this And although some of it may have been uncomfortable, and he may have been speaking about me a couple of times, yet again, I feel like I agree.
I agree
with pretty much everything he says, Gary.
When Doctor Who came back, sorry, Gary. When Doctor Who came back, I remember a quote from the showrunner who brought it back that, and I thought it was quite mean for him to say it, but it was true. This is not a pension plan for old Doctor Who actors, and now it is. And you just go, what happened in between that time where, suddenly it's nostalgia.
I think well, Matt, I think that was actually directed at writers. If I remember correctly, it was directed towards the late Bob Baker, who he came on the show and told us about that. They made an approach to Russell T Davies, and I think that Terence Dix might have spoken to Russell as well. But yeah, he did say that. And you're quite right. I think we're 2 decades on now, and Russell has brought in new writers, to be fair, but he's still there, or has been there, at the top of the tree, dictating the shape of the show. I mean, Simon Horton said a couple of months ago, it is odd that, people have swapped in and out of the chair, but all 3 of them really, even though Chibnall didn't do it for very long, they're all very connected part of that Fitzroy Tavern fraternity, all of a similar breed with, they don't, the writing can be very different in some ways, but they all come from a similar kind of background that have watched the same movies, read the same books. They may have felt differently about them, but they've had a lot of the same life experiences and exposures to other culture. Whereas if there was somebody younger working on it, if somebody, don't care whether it was either male or female, either gender, even somebody from overseas, then different experiences, a different career path even, would inform their work differently.
Well, 2 quick thoughts. One is that his comments about nothing is as good as it used to be. Well, I don't think pretty much anything now is as good as it used to be. But I don't think that that's some kind of manufactured weapon for unreasonably criticizing the current show. The current show, has earned all the criticism that it's getting. And that was actually one of the things where I saw what he really thinks sneak through, where he says that the whole idea about nothing's as good as it used to be, people have always thought that even when it used to be better. So I think that's a point where he's saying, yeah, the old show used to be better. As far as his comments about the show not being for us, the fact that the show has gone from being something that anyone of any age group could enjoy to now being a niche product that's now intended only for a select audience, Mark, is exactly why it's dead now. Yeah. A lot of it. So I don't know.
The modern audience don't care.
Yeah, right. I don't know if he just doesn't get that or he doesn't understand what he's saying, but the whole "it's not for you" thing is not a sign that it's still working for somebody. It's a sign that it's moved too far away from what it should be.
In some respect, obviously that's that whole kind of way of thinking. It's not for you anymore. As soon as we hear things like that, I think okay, that's a little more
pointed.
Yeah. Different people are going to receive that in different ways. People are going to feel rejected by that. Well, it's always been for me before. Why not now? Again, I don't think Gatiss was trying to be exclusive in any way. I don't think he was othering anyone. I'd even say, from the look on his face, I got the impression that perhaps he feels the same way, that what he's seen recently, to some degree or another, you can see the look on his face. Maybe some of it wasn't for him, because I just got the impression he was speaking from experience, and that's how he is processing it, and maybe it's working for him. It's not going to work for everybody, though. You are right, and for a great many of us, hearing those words, it depends on how much Doctor Who means to you and how much of a part of your life it is, how much of it you can pick up and put down.
But isn't that the main thing? I mean, I would have hoped that the interview would have said, well, wait, isn't the fact that the show isn't for everybody anymore, isn't that at the core the problem? You know, everybody just tosses out the whole, oh, it's not for you, it's not for what. But that's the main problem. Why isn't it?
If you can't find something to enjoy, if you've got a program that's aimed so broadly at such a wide demographic, and there's going to be a portion of that audience who are going to come away from spending 50 minutes watching it thinking, well, there was nothing in that for me. I think I've watched plenty of episodes of Doctor Who, which, for example, my kids enjoyed more than I did. And you think, oh, well, you know, maybe next week's will be more to my taste. But they've just thought it was the best thing they've ever seen. I've enjoyed the fact that they've enjoyed it so much, Charlotte. And therefore, you can look at it holistically. You think, okay, well, it's part of the give and take, part of the transactional nature of being part of the audience for a show with a massive broad appeal. I think Gatiss has forgotten that.
Well, I think what Gatiss is showing is how this idea of nostalgia and legacy and the past is such a tricky line now, because you have people in the industry for the last 5 years that have gone into these franchises, have gone into these IPs, clearly hating them or clearly having a chip on their shoulder on wanting to change them to suit what they want. So you've had that going on, and then you've had people who just, I think they don't have that intention, but they just don't understand what they're writing for, or they don't understand the world they've sort of been given, so they make mistakes. And it's just sort of all got this cloud now of how do you treat the past? How do you treat nostalgia? And I think it's, like you said, some groups have different views. I don't agree with him, this idea of, oh, we always say it was better. No, I'm sorry. You cannot say to me the current episodes are better or on par with some of the, even just New Who, let alone what the classic was doing when that was running at its heyday. I think there is a clear line, but I think what he's talking to is audiences sometimes, because they've been messed around for so long and we've had such bad faith in some IPs, we sort of don't know how to trust again and how to treat when they have these things in. And just, I do have to go on a quick story. Like I said, people know I've recently watched Rebirth, and this just showed to me this idea of, if you've got the essence of something, if you've got the true sort of feel, it can look different, it can have different aspects, but if you have the feel, and that's that. I had a chat with a year one boy, because he'd gone to see Jurassic World Rebirth, and he told me his favourite scenes, and they were all to do with the big dinosaur scenes. And he's told me how much he adored it, and he went to get a toy afterwards.
Oh, it's great.
And as a child could say that, and some of those scenes he was talking about were some of my favourites, because it had that feel, it had the awe, it had the majesty, it had all the things that Jurassic World, when it's working, does very well. And that worked for a little boy, and it worked for me. And Doctor Who used to be able to do that. It used to be able to translate the ages and the sort of experiences of people, because there was a shared quality to it. And I think that's what is lost. And I think that's what we need to get back to. And nostalgia can be used rightfully. It just has to be careful, and you have to know what you're doing. But
have it on a lead like Sutek, Charlotte. Yeah. Thank you again for more pearls of wisdom, and we'll leave you to polish your crown again for the weekend. Have a great time. We'll catch up with you in a few days.
Cheers, Charlotte. Lovely to see you.
Is this easy for Mark Gatiss to say when, if he feels as he does for whatever reason, he can go off and create another show, just like Matt said, where he can put on a scarf and grab a couple of props and affect another incarnation of the Doctor, effectively create his own new sandpit to play in, Luke, because several of Gatiss's projects and parts have been very reflective of Doctor Who. And I did wonder when I was listening to this, and he does mention it, to be fair, he's revived a lot of things. Is there a degree of hypocrisy in the things that Gatiss is saying, or is it simply somebody getting older and reflecting on their life?
I mean, kind of. It kind of bleeds in. It's like everything I make is like everything I make it I enjoy kind of bleeds in. It's like if you watch Hooligans is an awful example. Like if you watch I Made War of the Worlds and watch I Made a Time Machine or watch Wheels, you'll see an influx of like Inside Number 9 or Doctor Who, evidently, and War of the Worlds and the classic issue world stuff. You do see the stuff that you're a fan of does tend to come through you when you're writing, and it does lend itself in it. Albeit you're not making it for national broadcast at all, so it is a little bit different. But you're always going to put those influences are always going to be there, and you'll be like, oh, I'll just write this line in for me because I know where it's from. Which I guess if you're a fan making a TV show is fantastic, but if you're a fan in charge of a massive franchise like Doctor Who, I think it could be quite a detriment at times. If you look at like Andor now for Star Wars, which is the most revered Star Wars TV show now, it's made by Tony Gilroy, who's come out and been like, yeah, not a Star Wars fan, and it's the most revered.
Oh, did he say that?
Yeah. He's not a Star Wars fan, and he's like, yeah, cool, I get it. I know the gist. Cool, whatever. So he's not going to be lore heavy on it. Yeah, I think that might be a route to go down. Just like, look, cool, get someone else in. Be like, cool, this is your sandbox. These are the rules. He regenerates, goes in the TARDIS, or she regenerates, or they regenerate, goes in the TARDIS. There you go. Off you go. Do what you want. I think so. I think, yeah, it needs to look. I think Doctor Who is a massive nostalgia problem, and I'm a fan of Gatiss as well. He comes across as so. I was on set of Crimson Aura because it was filmed right. It was filmed like 2 minutes from my house. I was coming home from college. And I was like, oh, there's some cameras. And then I walked on set and Matt Smith was there. So I was like, oh, cool.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm a fan of his work. I think Adventures in Space and Time is probably the best piece of Doctor Who content he's made. I think his best episode is, oh, that was very good. I think you always surprise me with that. Every time I talk, you've always got something lined up so you know what I'm going to say. Yeah, I think The Unquiet Dead is probably his best episode for me. I'm a massive fan, and that's his most horror-esque one as well. And as you said, you think Gatiss is better when he's doing the more horror style, and I think that leans into that more. And I think that's where he thrives. Apart from Sleep No More, I don't like that. That was a misstep, bless him. But yeah, no, I'm a fan of Gatiss, and I think he's hit the nail on the head there. And I think if it's going to have a little rest, I think it's going to have a pause, maybe not a rest. But I've heard some rumblings anyway coming soon, so we shall see. But yeah, we'll talk about that on another show.
I mean, do you think the fact that Gatiss has got some distance from this now, David? I mean, he's clearly happy with his new series. There's other projects that he's been involved with as well. You know, Revived, The League of Gentlemen, they took that out on tour as well. Several big movies that he's been a part of to one degree or another. He doesn't look like a man who's creatively suffering at all. Plenty of opportunities and creative avenues for him to explore. So obviously he gave answers to questions. It's polite enough, isn't it? I'm supposed to answer questions when they're asked of you. But I mean, do you think it's likely that this could get followed up on behind closed doors, or is this story going to travel? Do you think? Because a great many people are commenting about it.
I think it will be a terrible shame if it is followed up on in that sort of way that I think you're implying, because I've listened intently to what everybody has been saying, and I have listened because it is a subject that fascinates me, nostalgia and people's opinions and how they may change over time. And I've been thinking quite a lot about what Mark Gatiss was saying about, you know, when he was there and it was the Curse of Peladon and everything like that. I think, as I said, I think it will be a terrible shame because Mark Gatiss, what he has clearly been doing has been reflecting on the program, reflecting on his association with it, reflecting on his other works as well. And it's almost like the sort of you're a socialist in your early 20s, which a lot of people, they say you should be a socialist in your early 20s. And when you get to later life, you become very much more conservative because your views on life change, which should happen. And I fully reserve the right to say that people's opinions can and maybe should change over their lifetime.
A great many of mine have.
And I think that's what Mark Gatiss was effectively saying when I said it went on the exit of Charlotte, after the exit of Charlotte. He's saying, I think when you rely on nostalgia, it is your rose-tinted view often of what it was like. It may not be an accurate description of what happened at the time, because often you will put a positive spin on it. So I think what he was essentially, I don't think he was attacking us. I don't think he was attacking if you don't like, he wasn't saying if you don't like it, go touch grass or just watch it anyway.
No, it didn't feel that way to me either.
No, what I got from that was you can't expect a show like Doctor Who, any sort of drama program. You look at Agatha Christie's Poirot. Yes, you look at Sherlock Holmes. Yes, it was very chummy to start off with. But as it went on, and I mentioned Poirot because Mark Gatiss wrote several of the later ones, adapted them for screen. It becomes darker, it changes, it becomes less chummy, it becomes more serious. And I think he was saying, look, everybody, there is nothing wrong with you still being a fan of the show. You've just got to appreciate that it's not the washing up bowl TARDIS interior from the Time Monster anymore. It's changed since then. But I also think it could be inferred that he chose his words very carefully, that he was a little bit critical of the latest iteration that we've had. Because if you get bogged down in nostalgia, if you get bogged down in that, then it becomes a behemoth around your neck to try and encourage new people to the show, because you get so bogged down in lore that people are going to say, well, I don't understand. Because when the Rani was mentioned, when Omega was mentioned, the amount of young fans or newer fans that are having to spend time on the internet and the iPlayer trying to figure out what the hell was going on went through the roof. And what Charlotte was saying about when her dad introduced her to it was perfect in that first series. It was a great jump on and watch it and learn about it, and will ease you in and entice you in, rather than, hello, here's a load of lore, sink or swim. And I think Mark Gatiss very eloquently was able to sort of summarize that. And if anybody has a go at him for that, far better than Russell, far better than any of the current production team, or recent production team. If anybody has a go at him privately or publicly, I think, quite frankly, they should hang their head in shame, because he put it beautifully.
If anybody out there, David, was offended, because some people have been offended by what Mark Gatiss said. If anybody out there has taken it.
Yeah, they should just deal with it. And
really?
They should just deal with it and just respect the fact that he is entitled to his own opinion.
It's nice to come out and have a Doctor Who writer just be upfront and honest, like respect, like, cool, well done. You're just being on the record, on the Radio Times, just being like, yep, cool. Doctor Who has a nostalgia problem, but we all do, which you get. So fair play to him, like, can't fault him.
Absolutely. And if people have a problem with that, that's their problem, not his problem.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by just deal with it. They should just be able to deal with the fact that somebody has a different opinion to them. And I don't think they will, because I think
you're not allowed that in this day and age.
No, they've got a lot of growing up to do. And if anybody has a problem with what Mark Gatiss has said, it's their problem, not his.
Maybe to sort of, particularly when you see the man talking as well. As I say, it may sound harsh. Is it too honest? I don't know, but I don't think there was any deliberate attempt to be cruel about people or about colleagues of his in the past, or to detach, to rip anybody away from their childhoods. Matt, I think it's. I mean, what are your thoughts in closing on that? Because you're. It's clear you're not a big fan of Mark Gatiss. I mean, has this made you a bit more sort of predisposed to him? Do you see growth there?
Look, I'm glad that he's decided that he's going to do his own show and create his own character. But it always just, I just wish for the days where I could just watch a show like, a detective show like, Frost or McCallum, which I loved. Those sort of shows where it's about the story and not about the detective. And this seems to, and it's like now everything has to have modern values and modern sensibilities put into it, put into the context of putting it back into the past, And I don't care if he's gay in real life. I don't care, but I'm like, just concentrate on a story. I don't really care about. If you want to do a drama, do a drama. Don't put it in the context of what is normally a detective story. It doesn't work for me anyway. I mean, everybody that's associated with Doctor Who now always gets asked about Doctor Who, even though they haven't been in it for years and years and years. Now, I don't know how much that grates on a person. And so I've never been in that. I will never ever be in that sort of space. So, it's just one of those things where I kind of just it just glosses over me. This whole show and everything that he's doing, he's promoting the show, his show at the moment. So he's just got to go with the flow. But I'm not interested in that show. I have Catholic values, so I'm not going to. It's not my cup of tea. I'm out. So it's like, well, good luck. But I'm just not interested. It's the same with Doctor Who. I'm just not interested anymore with the new current stuff. So yeah. Although there is glimmers of hope in certain productions that I'm looking forward to in the next 2 to 3 years. I'm really looking forward to, which I never thought I would be for recent stuff. But current stuff coming out right now that was produced 2-3 years ago, no, I'm not interested. But good luck, Mark. I hope your career really takes off at some point.
Boomer Doug says, my age nostalgia and looking back is a comfort blanket. Looking forward probably means wearing my underpants as a hat. And
hello, Doug.
Teeth. Yeah,
don't knock that, Boomer Doug.
I think that it's a great many people may well feel that the Gatiss is trying to rip away a comfort blanket, and obviously everybody's entitled to their opinion. You can't control how people may receive the things he said, but I think we have to kind of, for the most part,
they've got to really drop the attitude. They really have to drop this attitude. They just have to, okay, that's your opinion, but some people are more protective of this show than you obviously are.
I mean, obviously, Mark wasn't drawn on some of the more contentious aspects, anything to do with ideology and that relationship between the show and the fans. In that sense, just as Babette Bombshell says here, everything is so preachy these days. People don't like being talked down to. People get sick of that. It'd be interesting to know what Gatiss would have to say about that content, about how that's been measured, and about how combative people involved in the production have been in recent years. Maybe he'll talk about that one day. But I don't know. I think there wouldn't be much positive in doing so. Whereas the impression I get is that Gatiss has said these things largely because he thinks in the long term it's good for the show, good for the brand, and healthy for us out here in the audience. You can listen to the full interview conversation there with Mark Gatiss on the Radio Times Writers Room podcast. That's here on YouTube. I think it runs to about 20 minutes or so. There's a link in the description to the video here as well. And you could do worse than check out Bookish if you like those sorts of period detective dramas, really, with lots of fabulous production design, some fruity acting, some great character actors as guest stars, and a hint at a debt. I mean, this is, again, it looks like he owes a debt to certain genre programs and a way of programming from the past. Bookish started yesterday as of time of recording on You and Alibi, and it'll probably be on their streaming platform at some point in the future. I think it's on PBS Masterpiece Theatre in the States, so it is streaming all over the world and has been commissioned for a second season. You can hear myself and the fabulous starry-eyed girl Sarah Graham chat a lot more about that and 101 other things on the latest Type 40 Extra. If you're up for more, there we are, rambling away at one another there. Thank you for your contributions to that debate, that exploration of the latest comments from Mark Gatiss, the surprise set of quite candid confessions and suggestions from the Doctor Who writer and actor there. It's taken everybody by surprise, but let us know what you think. Drop us a comment once you've let it cook for a little while. I think we'd all like to know what more of you got to say about all of it. Okay, where next?
You're watching Type 40. Stupid tune anyway.
Yeah, how was that, girls? You had a good time? Look happy. Look happy enough, don't they, Gary?
Was this for a behind the sofa?
I think it was at a recent convention.
It was a convention.
Girls got together. I'm just looking at Luke waving Davros at me.
It's been doing that to me all program.
I've just been going, hello.
It's cracked me up a couple of times. I can't look at the screen a lot of the time.
Not the real Davros. The real Davros has legs, Luke.
An alternative timeline, Gary.
When the madness
2 weeks
started.
before the accident.
Okay, that wraps up another one. Thank you all for the comments. Rob Alexander says Bookish is not on you and Alibi streaming. So the chat has just jumped, but he has said that if it's not up yet, it probably will be at some point in the future. It does look like an important production for them. So keep heel, as they say. Looks good. Wait and see. We've got that would make an interesting behind the sofa. Says Funky in the live chat. Oh, I think he's talking about that one. Yeah, and they look great. Says Bobette. Pluto is on a late one this evening. How is everybody? I think we've worked it through, Pluto. We've worked it through as best we can. But if you want to come and say hello and share your thoughts, you can do that through our social media. As always, that's Instagram and X at Type 40 Doctor Who, or come and join in the conversation in the Type 40 Facebook group. Yes, we are debating those comments by Mark Gatiss, as well as the fella from BBC Studios and what he was talking about. That surprise Emmy nomination for best choreography for Doctor Who. Didn't see that coming. All of that is fair game over in the Type 40 Facebook group. And if you've got any suggestions, predictions, requests, even, keep them clean if you can, and drop them over on SpeakPipe there at the link. Get involved with Type 40 all from the palm of your hand on your smartphone. That's the podcast and the live stream too. Okay, yeah. Well, what else? Yeah, Type 40 Extra, as I said, and myself and Sarah Graham talking out of our hats, really about a number of subjects: Superman, our detectives, Whoish, Paul McGann, and all manner of other things. So watch out for more of that, as well as the playlists there of earlier editions of Type 40 Live. So there's our dedicated news shows, our deep dives into such as anniversaries and key figures from Doctor Who's past, and everything else there. Our marathon Amazon show, or our deep dive into the season 7 Blu-ray. Obviously, we've had another Blu-ray set announced recently. We haven't touched that yet. So if you want our thoughts on what's coming next on Blu-ray, you know what to do. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit the cloister bell to get all the notifications, and you won't miss a thing here at Type 40 Live. Gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for your company on this one. A surprise that went everywhere this week. Just when I thought it was going to be quiet, all these comments, all this new meat to sink our teeth into, Gary.
Yeah, there's always something, and we'll discuss it to the nth
best of our ability.
And if anybody gets nostalgic for us the next couple of days, we'll be here back on Saturday.
Yeah,
Yes,
can you wait for Type 40, the next generation? That's going to be fantastic.
I just hope, I hope I live long enough to where Type 40 is nominated for a choreography award.
We're going to start talking about our sex lives and that.
Don't give Luke an idea, because I've had to keep my head bowed for the last half an hour because the Davros keeps reducing me to tears of hilarity.
No, Davros has not appeared at all.
If everybody starts waving out the screen but shows both hands at the same time, then I'm going to start worrying.
Jazz hands.
So, again, thank you to Charlotte Shields for her company. As always, we'll catch up with her in a few days' time. We've got more comments coming in the live chat from the Zero Room. And Jess, what are you on? I'm on the Marianas.
Oh,
a crazy doll adventure. I don't know what you're talking. I thought it was a cocktail. I thought she'd been drinking the Marianas.
I finished mine.
Maybe you finished.
I read the comment the other day that said every time Luke's on Type 40, he's got to have a 4-pack. So that's just living up to the promise.
There we are. Zero Room is spacing out on 2 and 4. Good for you.
What does that mean?
I have no idea. No idea at all. But yes,
I love
you do
things
that's
in
what I would say.
context.
Yeah.
I'm just so happy Charlie's back.
Yeah.
We're all happy to see Charlie, and happy to see you as always, Matt Pott, as our real life time traveler. You've got the inside word on how Friday's looking so far. What have we got to look out for? Are there any?
It's chilly here.
Just
how cold is it? How cold is it?
Yeah, that's why I've got a hot water bottle. Unfortunately, it makes a smell sometimes.
Don't tell us where it is.
If you squeeze him in certain areas, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh.
Just don't poke it too much.
Yeah, if it's chilly to you, how chilly is it? Is it like 31 degrees?
No, it's been down to 3 degrees.
Oh, that's luxury.
2 to 3 degrees of a night, and it's
That's summer in Wales.
We've had a bit of a cold snap in the last week, so and we're only halfway through it. So
to be fair,
good.
Matt isn't one of these people who lives overseas that continually tells Brits that we don't know what hot weather is. Thank you for that, Matt.
No worries.
Have you seen the influx now of like Australians and Americans and everyone coming over to the UK, and they're like, "Oh no, it's the 30 degrees is not hot here. We have this all the time." And then they come here, they're like, "Oh my god, yeah, this is awful. Like this is worse than because we're not built for it. Our cities are too compact."
The one thing I've never said to Dan is that we get a lot of English people coming down here because our weather is quite similar. Because we're so close to Antarctica, we don't get quite as hot as the mainland of Australia. So they do like it down here. So
what a shocker, Gary, I can't wait to talk about Superman with you on Saturday as part of the Facebook
good.
Live on our second channel. I would imagine that you're chomping at the bit as well.
That's why I didn't wear my Superman hat today, but I will be wearing it on Saturday because I can't wait to talk with you about it.
So if you want to find out what we've got to say about the movie that does seem to be taking the world by storm after all, you can catch up with Gary and myself and numerous other panelists over there on the Facebook Live for our Superman 2025 special roundtable review. So yeah, go and find that. Will be a link.
One of us will be wearing tights, but I can't say yet which one it's going to be.
Oh, right, okay.
That's going to be worth tuning in for.
That's
whatever
right.
the weather, isn't it? Okay. We've got. It smells like fish fingers and custard. Says Christian from the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS.
Really need.
I was going to make a joke there, but
we
I
really need
decided not
context
to.
for that.
Indeed.
Isn't that a trench? I don't know what they're talking about.
The Mariana Trench.
Did you see? Actually, did you see that they've made smell-o-vision now, so you can actually go around and scratch and sniff animals' behinds? It's great. You should check that out. It's a great story.
I seriously worry about people.
It's a scratch and sniff, but they're not real. They're actually created in a lab. But
just
you
go to
can do
Piccadilly
that
Gardens
now
in Manchester, that's
in
fine.
China or Japan or somewhere like that. So it's great. Who wouldn't want to do that?
David, thank you again.
It's
Thank
a
you again
pleasure.
for making it to the show. Yes, you're up against heavy traffic, I understand, but you managed to put in a formidable batting average after all.
Thank you. A slightly crazy daughter as well, but you can't have them all. But thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I'm going to read my Wisden Cricket Book of Statistics until the next time. Because I love statistics. I'm not really, but you know.
it builds the mythology, doesn't it?
It does. It's a cricket. Cricket is a wonderful game, and if Doctor Who was more like cricket, we'd still have Peter Davison as the Doctor. So there you go.
Agree more.
Be
Thank you,
looking a bit knackered.
David.
Pleasure.
Luke, you need a refill, or do you? It's getting late, isn't it? But
I got work in the morning. Apparently,
He's hardcore.
I'm leaving. Who gives up? I'm leaving. My notice is in. So, and very quickly, I want to add in a new segment from now on to Type 40 with your permission, and it is the stock clock of how long before David makes a cricket reference. Tonight's one was 15 minutes and 43 seconds.
We'll
Thank
workshop
you.
it.
Good. I like it. That's very good.
If me and David, I'm just guessing. I'm not joking, but yeah, no, all good, all good. But yeah, I'm leaving. Who gives a fuck? So I'm gone. But yeah, no, that was good. Mark Gatiss is very, very right in what he's saying. Very, very right. So.
I mean, the thing is, if you have another one though with your smartphone on, if you've still got that link up, you could well be 72 quid later. By the morning, you watch. Yeah, you might want to watch yourself. Turn off the old Wi-Fi in case you get tempted.
Tempted by what? I missed
the jacket.
The jacket.
Oh right, the jacket. Even I was like, "What am I buying?" I liked it. I like the jacket. To be fair, they got a nice little tote bag. What?
I mean, go out in public with that. Seriously,
I mean Tyson Fury's T-shirt. Like this is like rip off Versace Tyson Fury. You think I wear garish clothes?
Like
anyway.
I said, that you're the sort of person to go out with that T-shirt saying, "Honey, I'm here for fun."
The only thing that's fit for is the bonfire.
Are you going to drop 77 pounds on that jacket, Luke?
Oh, 72. Yeah, 77 is a bit too much. That's taking.
Okay.
Yeah, 72 is reasonable. Any more than 75.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Funny enough, I saw CX. Sorry, CX have got the steelbook of season 9 of Doctor Series 9. 450 quid.
Wait, of what?
The steelbook of Capaldi and Jenna Coleman.
It's ought to be made of 9-carat gold.
Wow.
450 quid or 439 is one of them, which is a lot more reasonable. But I was like, well, that's mad. Yeah, Doctor Who pricing's mad. Yeah.
Check it out. Fill the gap in your collection.
I will wear it one day on this stream.
I had the box set of Capaldi, and it had a battery in it that you could press the button, and the TARDIS would actually, like, you could hear the TARDIS in the background on the actual box. And the battery went dead. You can't replace the battery. It's impossible. You got to rip the whole box apart to replace the battery. It's terrible.
Shocking.
So sad.
You wouldn't get much for that.
Single-use plastic.
After the fact. No. Yes, and that wraps it up for another big week here in Type 40 Live. Our first week back after the break with so much to talk about and lots more still to come. Plenty of big Doctor Who topics we haven't had a chance to touch on yet. So be sure to make your way back here. Please like this video. It does help more than you think. Subscribe to the channel. Check you're still subscribed because YouTube is funny like that. And ding that cloister bell to get all our notifications. I can't wait to see what we're going to be covering next week. But that's it for another one. We'll see you on Monday from 8 p.m. UK time, as always. But that's it for another one. We always have the time if you have the space here at Type 40 Live. You enjoy your weekends. And leave us a comment. You think about what Mark Gatiss has said. Maybe you want to message him on social media. I don't know. And tell him that Type 40 Live sent you. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.